Here we go.
In 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone! I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being... Oh, no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope...
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to... Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, biddiga-dig-bee, biddiga-dig-boo.
So it begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
Welcome back, everybody, to Slayer Nation Live. I'm your host, George Molo, and it's January 26, 2025, the year of our Lord. How you all doing? It's great to see you. Coming from the Lone Star State, where we just survived an Arctic blast. That was cool. Got to play, have a few snow fights, build a snowman. It was fun with all the kids. Caladpin, how you doing? Aaron Charman, Laners. It's all great to see. We have Olaf in the house, Eric K, King of the Mods. And Lord Thoth should be here already. Roar! Hannibal Grimm. We got a great show for you today. Hollywood losing the culture war. We got Disney, who's still bucking the system. Trump roars back. And we're talking about a new golden age. Robert Eggers, he's also confirmed now. You know, he's not only going to be doing Werewolf, but he's making a sequel to Labyrinth. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's just get the show going because we have an amazing panel for you today. So fuel those flamethrowers so we can roast the stupid and have a lot of fun. First up, we got the man himself, Verbal Riot. He's coming back. How you doing, Verbal?
I'm doing good, man. Trying to stay dry from the rain.
Oh, yeah. It started raining here today. Plus, we got the truth spitter himself. The DA is here. How you doing, DA? Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And we also have a very good friend of mine. We haven't seen him in a couple weeks. The Imagineer connoisseur, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Hello, gentlemen. Always great to be streaming with the four of you, or three of you.
Three of you right now.
All of you?
We're bringing them all out. We're bringing all.
I can't even count.
We'll even talk about Section 31. We'll talk about Section 31 in a minute, which as Robert and I were talking backstage that they couldn't even make the Special Olympics. But hey, now we have a very good friend of mine who I always love streaming with. This is a woman who knows how to get the country back on track by rebuilding our foundation from heart and with grace. The truth seeker herself, the vanguard of free speech, Gothix.
Hello. Pleasure to be here. Nice to see you all again.
Yes. Always great to see you. Always great to see you. And now I want everybody to fasten their seatbelts and buckle up because I have a very special guest. It's his very first time here. This is the juggernaut of jubilation, the undisputed king of charisma. Give a big Slayer Nation welcome to the Sultan of Screen Reactions, the one and only Tyrone Magnus.
What's happening?
How you doing?
All right. The juggernaut of jubilation is a great nickname. That is a great nickname.
Thank you for that intro. That was
absolutely good. Absolutely glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. There's a lot to talk about. It's like sometimes you don't know where to begin, but we've always been starting out the last several months ever since Hurricane Helene hit and devastated a lot of states. We always talk about North Carolina for a moment. And after President Trump visited, the Army Corps of Engineers showed up. Can you believe it? After all these months, they finally are there and they started repairing everything. So we're still staying Appalachia strong. I think it's a beautiful thing. They've been ignored for so long by the Biden administration, but now everything's back. Of course, we also know that he visited LA. I was watching your reaction, Tyrone, to that. It was wow.
To which one?
The LA, the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, wow, that was like, damn. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about is this broke out last night. I can find where the hell I put you. Well, let me just pop this up. This is what President Trump was saying.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half million dollar.
You did something, loss. Brad, with every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Brad, me,
every
Mr.
insurance
President,
company.
I don't know what
I'll tell you this
about my thinking.
I've never seen a state where almost nobody has insurance. And I said, what happened? And they said like 6 months ago, they all left. And 2 years ago, they had different, quadrants, but they left. And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Isn't that amazing? I think that's one of the things I love about him, how he just holds people to account. It's the other day he canceled the security for John Bolton and Fauci, and a reporter had turned around to him and said, how are you going? Are you going to feel anything if, God forbid, something ever happens to him? He's like, no. It's just like, he's like, he goes, they made a lot of money, and I gave him some names of some great security companies.
Hey, told him to get his own. Yeah.
He can afford it.
I know. That's what's amazing. But last night, this had broke out, which, again, I'm not really shocked. But to get things started, Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, yeah.
Ice cream. Not gonna lie, we get this one a lot.
Yeah, we're in the ice cream business, but we've always been about much more than just ice cream. We use our power, our privilege, our platform, and our relationship with our fans to advocate for progressive social change. So no, we're not just going to stick to ice cream.
And we're never gonna stop trying to dismantle white supremacy, end the climate crisis, or fight for our democracy.
And no, we're not going to stop fighting laws that restrict trans rights.
Can someone tell me where this white supremacy is? I'm just curious. Verbal? Have you seen it around?
I think it's in the room with them somewhere.
Gothix, we keep this keeps being brought up. You see all these companies that are shifting.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon. You got Musk, obviously, and Ford. You've seen like Robbie Starbuck do his work, his magic with DEI, trying to strip it out of every company, and all of a sudden, Ben and Jerry's pops up to wave the flag.
Yeah. First of all, their ice cream is mid, okay? The progressive virtue signaling doesn't make it any better, doesn't make up for the mid. I mean, these people, honestly, a lot of them are stopping their woke stuff. I guess they didn't get the memo, but I don't necessarily think they're having a change of moral character. They're just going where the power is, I think.
Okay. Well, I would agree with you on that. Like fair weather friends, like this is in right now. We're going to go over here. You know, we're going to safeguard our business. But Ben and Jerry's, what was it last year or was it a year and a half ago where they basically said, we have to apologize for the Native American Indians and the land that the United States took from them.
Why?
Like, what does that have to do with ice cream? I'm like, how many civilizations have been conquered? It's like, do they walk around? Anyway.
Yeah, was that the people were like, then why don't you give the land back that your factory built on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but they come out and talk about tone deaf because we're seeing it all across their articles, you know, every other day coming out from Hollywood, like, you know, Hollywood is terrified, you know, Trump 2.0, but then some people are going to be working with him. But then what are we going to do here? And it's just.
You know, I agree with Gothix that their ice cream is definitely overpriced and overrated. But that aside, look, to their credit, man, Ben and Jerry's has always been a woke company. Always. Like they've never even hid that, right? So I'll at least give them credit for, you know, sticking to their guns and not being phonies and trying to kiss up to Trump, like, you know, Zuckerberg is and some of these other companies. Now, am I ever going to buy their ice cream? No. But then again, I never bought their ice cream. So it's kind of a non-issue for me.
But
yeah, there's something to be said. There's something to be said for a company that's 10 toes down on their beliefs. They're not fake. They're not phony. They're actually representing what it is they believe. You look at Target right now. Target has been in all the way back and trying to go back to getting the company or the customers back that they lost due to their DEI policies. You know, it's like, well, you know, if you guys really didn't believe in it, why were you out there promoting it and you know, putting, you know, little whatever bikinis or whatever, doing all of that nonsense. Like, why were you doing all of that if you really don't believe in it? And so to Ben and Jerry's credit, like Dante said, hey, at least they are standing for what they believe in, you know, even though we disagree with it. Because if there's one thing I cannot stand, it's people that are phony and that are gaslighting you 1,000 times over. All right. Stop gaslighting. Stand on what you believe in. And if you really don't believe in it, then don't say it. You know, so I appreciate the fact that at least from that standpoint, I don't agree with them, but at least I know where they stand. And I know they're not going to try to flip the tables on me 2 years down the line when, you know, when the environment gets a little bit different.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's just like we have Republicans, you know, they're rhinos. They're basically leftists, not even rhinos. And they pretend to be one thing. So I can agree with that position. No hypocrites. I don't agree with their policy, but I see it. We also got Tom who's joining us. How you doing, Tom? Welcome to the party. I saw you had a new flavor that you added in the background. What was it called?
You guys misinterpreted it. The new flavor, they're they're putting out there as white supremacy. That's where the white supremacy is.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like white guilt.
It tastes like white guilt. What does that taste like?
Salty, kind of salty.
Made with actual tears.
Yep.
George, you know, what's interesting to me about what they're saying in this commercial is they've just decided they didn't pick just one thing they want to solve. They want to solve everything. And I want to know if that's the case. And I agree with Verbal. They've always been a woke company. But how are they going to implement these platforms? If you're going to come out and tell me that you're going to do all of these things, fight climate change, what are you going to do about it? Making a commercial's not enough. I need your manifesto. I need to know where's your action items, as they would say. How are we going to expect Ben and Jerry's to affect any of this change? And I'd like to know when they're starting. Are they starting tomorrow at 9 a.m.? It just, you look at something like this and it comes off as being incredibly disingenuous, which, you know, I'm always the one that's talking about, you got to be authentic. If you're going to say you're going to do something, by all means do it. But what is it you're going to do? This is the problem that I think I've always had. One of the reasons I've often defended Hollywood is because nobody gets things done faster than a production crew that has to make their day. When every single second that ticks by, you're spending money. But a company like Ben and Jerry's getting up and saying these things is one thing, but actually implementing or trying to do something that affects real change, that's something else. And I think we don't have a lot of that. We have a lot of people that talk, but what are you going to do? And
right, we just have to be careful now because they're going to try to save the world one scoop at a time? I mean,
well, even if they said that, at least we'd know it's one scoop at a time. That's a plan of action. What they said here just comes off as being pandering.
Virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling.
To be fair, I think that's the whole progressive platform, though. It's like most people just sort of like co-sign on ideas. It's the sentiment that matters.
Yeah.
They don't actually think about like, okay, how are these things actionable? Like what does this look like? It's just the feelings that matter, and they don't think anything through. So, I mean, this is very on par for them, if I'm being honest.
No, well, I agree with you on that, but it's like I guess with Ben and Jerry's, it should say like, be careful what you put in your mouth. I don't know. It's just like one scoop at a time. But the reaction, the reality is everybody is changing. I don't think this has to do with Trump. I think this has to do with the fact that the country, Western culture, has had enough of all of this. I mean, Gothix.
Well, you know they had enough of, George. They had enough of talk. People are tired of talking. Yeah. Right? They want to see shit done at this point. That's why Trump is back. That's why we brought him back. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, you played that clip of Karen Bass and that situation with, you know, with Trump, and people are just tired of this, man. It's if you watch the whole thing, what Karen Bass was trying to tell you, without trying to tell you, was, oh, yeah, we're going to help these people in about a year.
Right.
Yeah,
and
you didn't even play the best part.
That's not good enough. You know, it needs to be faster than that. You know, and, you know, look, and I've always been accused of being a conspiracy theorist, so I'm going to put my tinfoil hat back on for a minute. There is a lot at play here, right? So what they're doing is they're not allowing people who have lost their homes to go back and search through their things and look at their property. They're not allowing people to do that, right? But what they are doing is they're allowing these foreign investors to go look at the property, right? Because what they're doing is they're trying to undercut, they're trying to undersell or underbuy, I should say, from the people who lost their homes, right? So that they'll go in, offer them half the value of the property, right? And what they're doing is these foreign investors are buying up a lot of LA property. And I think there was a plan in play. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but I will say But I will say this. I think Trump is interrupting those plans. He's messing up the plan. And I love that.
100%. 100%. Here's what Tom was talking about, the clip.
You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked, I mean, you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
bullshit.
No, we can't. That's what they're saying. Yeah.
Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think
Unbelievable.
within a
She
week.
lied right to their fucking face. Yeah.
Well, of course you did. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people
time.
to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're
See,
not
that one guy just took the mic away from her.
safe now.
Yeah, he's like,
they're
"Stop
going to be
talking."
much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them, everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even, this is our first time we saw our house, was yesterday.
Mr. President, we're going to be together next week, and during the interim, many of us are involved in, and Tom McClintock, who you know has been
Oh, it
an
gets
expert
better
on
yet.
this for
There's still
years.
more to it.
We are going.
Did you see this whole thing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see the whole thing. Oh, okay, we'll play the rest of it then.
Yeah, there's not much left. He says something else here too. It's kind of funny.
Going to be putting conditions on the money that do two things: require that it be done timely and affordable, and then secondly, that we protect those who will come afterwards. As we speak, there are 6,000 acres burning in my district on the Mexican border. There will be more fires until we include in any disaster relief items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water. Things like water. You know, the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness.
Yes, sir.
We like water to put out fires. It's really quite efficient.
Oh, he just nailed it.
Crazy concept.
That's beautiful.
Water.
That's
Like
beautiful.
water.
Oh, unbelievable. It's like Justine.
You know the
Bateman-
simple things.
Justine Bateman roasted her yesterday because she put out this. You had Mayor Karen Bass put out, rainy weather creates a risk for flooding and mudslides in fire burn areas. The city is urgently preparing to protect communities in affected areas and has pre-deployed efforts across the city. It's like, pick up your free sandbags. And so Justine comes in here, dear whatever crisis manager has taken over this social media account, everyone can see this is effort of a failing student submitting missed assignments after the grades have posted. Karen Bass failed. She thought the mayor of LA position was decorative. Nothing you post now will fix that. I mean, they're tone deaf. See, that's what I was thinking with Ben and Jerry's. I'm glad that, everybody can believe whatever they want to believe, but they're tone deaf also to the moment. Just as, forget your personal beliefs, as a company. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Tyrone? It's like we're living in a different time. People are sending a different message. It's like flat earthers saying, hey, the world is still flat. It's like, really? Like, wake up.
Around the globe, they're saying that.
Yeah.
Well, on something a little lighter, did anybody check out, I guess lighter's on the perspective, Section 31, the new Star Trek?
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Nothing but
I
good
turned
things.
it on. After about 15 minutes, I shut it off and started watching the original Wolfman. It was that bad. No.
Wow.
Like, I don't understand the show. And I mean, Robert does a little bit more than all of us here. But yeah, how Robert, I gotta ask you this. Isn't it kind of like this old fundamental rule that your lead character has to be likable, and maybe not kill their whole family?
Which is how that movie opened.
Exactly. Like that's just the beginning.
Okay. First of all, to me, people know that the Star Trek franchise meant a lot to me in my life. I made a movie about that starring William Shatner and Eric McCormack, two Canadian Emmy winners. I was a documentarian working for CBS and Paramount for 3 years, documenting the entire making of Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Enterprise. I was a paid Star Trek consultant for Viacom CBS back in the 90s. So Star Trek has meant something to me throughout my life. What I do not understand is Star Trek came out of a time when you had great fantasists working in television. You had Rod Serling creating The Twilight Zone, Leslie Stevens created The Outer Limits, and Gene Roddenberry and his collaborators created Star Trek. And at the time, during the 1960s, there were a lot of things that you could not talk about on television. You couldn't talk about the civil rights movement. You couldn't talk about Vietnam. These were verboten topics. And the great fantasists used fantasy and science fiction to address these issues, but in the context of the fantastic. So they said, you can't talk about racial issues on TV. But in the Twilight Zone, you can, because that's not the real world. And Rod Serling and Charles Beaumont and Richard Matheson and some of the great writers were really able to make some hard-hitting social commentary under the guise of fantasy. And they did the same thing on Star Trek. They directly addressed the futility of the Vietnam War in a second season episode called A Private Little War. But it wasn't about the Vietnam War because it took place in space. Now, allegorical storytelling, science fiction, action, adventure, allegorical storytelling seems to be a lost art because Star Trek is not about anything anymore. They think they want to be that. But what they do is they've just bought into all these tropes and these very simple stories. And so when you're watching something, what's depressing about it all is the level of intellect that these franchises began with. The people who made Star Trek they fought in World War II. They were playwrights and novelists and short story writers, true writers that had life experience that they were bringing to their storytelling. And when you watch, it's really interesting. The main character in Star Trek Section 31 comes from the Mirror Universe. She's an evil despot, basically a space Hitler, as people have said. And at the end of the original Mirror Universe episode, Spock makes a really interesting observation, because we've had our characters go into this evil universe and come back out. But Spock got to observe their evil counterparts. And he says, it is far easier for civilized men to behave like barbarians than it is for barbarians to behave like civilized men. Now that thought, they could have applied that thought to our main character who's a barbarian. What's it like for her as a character to now live in a nice universe? How is she able to function when she's essentially this evil, horrible person from a horrible universe who's now been transposed and is now supposed to exist in our universe? That idea is ripe for exploration.
But that's not what they did, is it?
Of course not. They don't even know, because they never even watched the original episode that their entire character concept came from.
But I think that's the problem today. I think that's the problem though today, because we were just talking about this on the phone a little bit earlier. Not only with Hollywood, we can see it that most people, they not only do not know how to tell a story, they don't know anything about the story. They just view it like a kid walking through Walmart and go, oh, that's an IP, that's a toy, that's a product.
Well,
we need to
they
sell this
also
product.
don't even understand character, right? Because that's what I was getting at. Is there always used to be this unsaid rule that if a character is a bad person, sure, they can redeem themselves in the movie, but 9 times out of 10, they usually die or don't get the girl. That's the rule, right? There's something that they don't get at the end of the movie or the story because of their behavior at some point earlier on, even if they redeem themselves. Great example is like Independence Day with the Randy Quaid character, right? He was a drunk, he was a piss poor father, but he was able to redeem himself at the end, but he still died, right? Like, that's the point. Georgia was introduced killing her family, not just killing her family, but her little baby brother and shit, right? And then she goes on to be Space Hitler, as Robert just pointed out. And then this character gets brought over to this universe in the TV show that we've seen. If you haven't seen, you're going to be completely lost on, right? Because she's been bounced all over hell, because they had to sew her to our universe and send her to a time where she could still exist, which would be the TNG era, I guess. And she ends up starting a nightclub. And that's about as far as I got, because you got this stupid scene like you get in every action movie where it's like, your team is so clumsy, I could have seen them coming in the door. It's like, that's the other problem with this show. Section 31 is supposed to be a clandestine group of people, yet everybody knows about them, and evidently they're horrible at their jobs, right? Like, so what else do I need to say about this show other than it breaks every fundamental rule of writing, building upon an IP and an idea?
It's trash.
It's
just
utter
fucking trash.
Think about what Rob just said, and the people that are writing these shows don't have any actual life experience that the rest of us have that they can pull upon. A lot of these guys grew up in woke Hollywood. They grew up in the bubble. They grew up you know, in a way where they can't really relate to people, normal human everyday interactions. They don't have them. You know, you live in Hollywood, you don't really understand what somebody in the Midwest or somebody down south or even in the Northeast really, you know, knows about life. And so they write content that's so like disconnected from regular people that it just doesn't feel real. It feels like something an alien wrote. It doesn't really feel like it makes any sense. Like what's the struggle of their lives? They can't relate to people. And that's the biggest problem you have with cats in Hollywood. They don't relate to regular, every average day normal people. They are so disconnected from us. And you see that with the politics as well, which is why everything is starting to shift more to the right, is because everybody is feeling like these people don't understand who I am and they don't understand anything about me. So let me start, you know, voting a different way, or let me find content that I enjoy that speaks to me directly. That's the biggest problem you have with a lot of these series. And then they take over franchises that, you know, were built upon those values, built upon understanding things like what Rob was saying. It's like, yeah, we could do all of our social commentary because these guys had lived through it. These people have not lived through anything. You know, what's the worst thing that's happened to them? Somebody wrote their name down on a Starbucks order wrong. You know, it's like, where are these guys getting their actual like lived experiences where they can relate to the audiences that they're writing for? You know, that's
they have none. They have none. But that's Gothix. It's like the change that you've seen that's happened basically over the last couple of years, but especially since the election, now the inauguration. Do you think there's something missing? Because I always, when I'm listening to you, always go back to the moral foundation. We have to fix that. We have to get back to that, not just swing from one place to the other.
Yeah, I sometimes I have to I tell my audience, like, I don't mean to sound negative, like, but there's a lot of people that seem to think like, oh, the wokeness is gone, you know, the wokeness is gonna go away. I'm like, no, they're just gonna rebrand it. Like, this is a thing that will just continue because you're not addressing like the root problem. And like, even like these people who are just being, I guess you can call them like fake woke and just doing it because they don't actually believe the things that they're promoting. They're just doing it for some financial gain. Clearly, they put money as like the top priority in their life. It's like that in itself is a problem. And if you're not addressing like what is the foundation that people build their lives on, you're going to get this never ending cycle of people fighting over like culture wars and stuff. So yeah, I always say like, yeah, it's never going to go away. So just, you know, get used to it.
Buckle up. Yeah. I mean, it's like as bad as the Spider-Man is, and we'll jump back and forth because I've always thought that, you know, culture and politics, and you have one is downstream of the other. But they released that new animated clip. What does everybody think about how this is going to be doing?
Oh God, this is bad.
So terrible, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been better, but I definitely could have been worse. Midtown, on the other hand.
Yeah, I was here for orientation.
Freshman, huh? Same, but I have a feeling we won't be getting assigned classes anytime soon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, you got a name, Hero?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm Peter Parker. How about you?
Nice to meet you, Pete. I'm Nika Minoru.
Oh!
Yeah, I hear snoring.
What? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy everything that they're putting out today. Just there's nothing that grabs you anymore. It's not only that; it's we see it whether again it's Hollywood or we see it from our politicians or we see it from our community.
I will say this, and I'm not going to, you know, you guys know how I feel about Disney, but there are some shifts happening within Disney. I think they are going to try to get back to what they used to be. It is going to take a while though. It's this show, just like many other shows that are going to come out this year, they were already in the pipe, and they got to put them out. They already made way too many deals, so it's got to happen. It's got to come out. It's going to be shit. They know they're going to lose money. They know this, but they got to put it out anyway, right?
Right. But what do you think about that, Tyrone? Do you think it's going to be a year or two? Do you think we're just going to keep slugging through this?
Depends on how much they have in the pipeline, but I'm thinking, yeah, a year at the least, but probably year and a half, two, and then maybe finally, you know. But like I said, you know, I've said in my videos, you know, like certain people are saying that they're just going to hide it from us in the trailers and just put it in the movies, the games, and whatever trailer you see. Oh, the trailer will be fine, but once you spend your money, that's when they'll get you. But
I
you'll
agree.
realize it after you already spent the money. So we got your money now. So
yeah,
That's
It's like Captain America: Brave New World. I mean, everybody
most
knows
of these trailers look great, man. Have you ever like I can't remember a bad trailer coming from Marvel where it's just like, oh man, this looks like hot garbage. Everything
Quantumania.
is at
Marvel.
least average. Looks like okay. And then you sit there and then you get to the theaters and then you watching, bullshit for the next 2.5 hours. It's like, God damn, they got me again. They got me again. Right, exactly. Exactly. The Eternals. So then Marvel's good and Disney is good. Star Wars trailers, generally speaking, look pretty good, but we know what's coming, so you always got to be careful.
I will never forget the Eternals press junket when they were doing those red carpet premieres everywhere. I've shown the video before. You had one of the actors like, this film will literally save lives. You have to watch it. It will save lives.
I hate that term so much, by the way.
We are saving the world with Eternals. It will save lives. Go watch it. You're going to thank yourself. I'm like, what crack is he smoking?
It'll save lives because people won't be driving their car to the theater and get into accidents.
We're going to take, I think they're
mugged on the way to the theater.
Nothing.
I want to piggyback off something Rob said, though. Like, he was talking about, with Star Trek and everything, but this applies to Disney. This applies to every film studio right now. You could tell these kind of stories if you're telling them in a way that is well written, right? And, and let's talk about the topic of the day, right? Race is no longer the topic of the day. Of course,
unless you're Disney.
I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. It does exist. Of course it does. It always will, by the way. It always will. So let's not fool ourselves. But never on the level it used to be. Never on the level. There's way too many mixed babies these days for racism to be the biggest issue of the day. It's just not, right? But let's just say, okay, the LGBTQ and the trans BS. Let's say that's the issue of the day. You can still tell a good story, right, involving that topic, and write it in such a clever way that, hey, it'll make people at least think, right? And that's what movies, that's what TV shows used to do, is make you think. They weren't preaching at you. They weren't telling you how to think. They were just telling you to think, right? And until they get back to that, man, if they want to stay on this trek, which from what it looks like, they're not doing that because they want to start making money again. But if they want to stay on that track, then fine, they could just fail. But it all goes back to the storytelling and hiring real writers, not activists.
There you go. But guess what? Disney is not going that way.
Are you sure?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize it this week, but that their Securities and Exchange Commission, their SEC filing, right? This is what they listed in it. Just interesting. In its recent annual filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, the Walt Disney Company showcased unwavering commitment to its controversial diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. So I'll skip down to here. Disney's SEC filing emphasizes the diversity of its board directors, boasting that 50% of its members are considered diverse, with 40% non-male, 30% non-white. It's clear from this filing that Disney considers anyone who isn't white to be male diverse. And then it goes here. However, the filing doesn't stop at celebrating the board's demographics. It shockingly lists diversity itself as a skill and leadership qualification, grouping it with legitimate credentials like finance, cybersecurity, and strategic transformation. Diversity is now a skill. Look at Gothix. She's going to fall over. I was waiting for that because
when did they file this, though? That's my question.
Yeah, when did this come? When did this happen?
You can make amendments. This was the last one that they filed last week. They didn't do a whole big press. Usually they put a big press
last week before Trump was president or after, because I was going to bounce off what Verbal was saying. Is I think we are going to see some big changes in the wind real soon, because if you share this headline I got here on screen, there was a big meeting between Trump and some people at Hollywood.
Yep.
And they were saying, yeah, Biden didn't listen to us, but you're here to help. And guess who was at this meeting?
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure?
Bob Iger.
Bob fucking Iger was at this meeting.
I know, but that's odd because when you go in, Tom, when you go into that SEC filing, do you know what they've tied Iger's bonus to? Bob Iger's bonus tied to DEI performance. Among the 3 performance factors used to calculate annual bonuses for named executive officers, Disney lists diversity and inclusion. That's one of his bonus. It's just crazy. They could have amended it. By what I understand, you can amend it, I think, 72 hours before. So it's just, no, I'm glad I've seen this Variety article. It's
Well, that's what I'm
just
saying, because Trump came in and he got rid of all that DEI stuff. So that's where a lot of these other companies have been dumping it. And this is where I think Ben and Jerry's, that's why they did that stupid thing they did. And I think that's exactly why they did it. And they think they're virtue signaling, and all they're going to do is Bud Light themselves. But I think Verbal's right. And although Gothix is right too, they're always going to try and rename it something. That's why Trump's got to keep stomping it out, right? He's got to make it less of an incentive to have it around.
But diversity as a skill, I've never heard it put that way.
Can you just imagine going to a job interview? Like, what are your qualifications? Black.
I'm black.
Person.
That is it.
You bring up a great point. Let's say you're going into the stock market. You're going into some kind of economic, something that requires you to yield a profit in terms of what you're doing, whether you're a day trader, whether you're crypto, whether you're whatever it is you're doing. Doesn't matter what color you are.
Yeah.
You're in a job. Doesn't matter whether there's a DEI. That might get you in the door, but you still have to achieve results. And when you're working in, say, economics, it's academic. You either are achieving results or you're not. I'm all for giving people who don't necessarily have opportunities or don't even know they could have opportunities the chance to walk through the door, because you might have powerhouses and savants that didn't even know they could get these jobs because they didn't think they had the opportunity. That's a good thing. It's a good thing to get people, but the idea that diversity is its own goal doesn't make any sense.
No,
I mean, you're going to go to the job and say gender.
Yeah.
Well, this is you have to be able to perform, and they're talking about, you see in colleges, like they have affirmative action in colleges, and people are being led into colleges, say Ivy League colleges, and they're unprepared for the workload. You have kids going in from colleges to colleges today that don't even. I read an article in the Atlantic. Kids in colleges today aren't prepared to read a whole book, because in high school, and this is everybody. This isn't just they don't know how to read. They can't concentrate, and you get into an Ivy League school, and you're supposed to sink or swim, and then the college isn't going to carry you.
No,
we have to have opportunity for people to learn, and not. It has to be everybody. We all have to open it up, because, look, at the end of the day, skills it's a meritocracy. If you don't have the skill you need to succeed, you won't succeed, and then where do you wind up?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. You got to build your human capital. You got to, like, what can you offer the world? I know a lot of people don't like it when it's put into that context, but that's the reality. I have no problem with someone learning on the job, like, if they're not qualified, like, I'm totally for that. But once you start to racialize it or just put diversity as, like, the top priority, that in itself is racist. Like, if you want to talk about racist, like, you're implying that Black people aren't capable to teach themselves a new skill. So, again, open to everyone, I think I'd be okay. But the whole diversity thing, this is why businesses are going to continue to fail. I don't care what my pilot looks like. I just care if they can land the damn plane correctly.
Yes. You don't care about that. Your cook, you want him to cook your meal. Your cop, your fireman. Not like that. What was that woman, the one who came out in that promo during the California wildfires, where she's like, if your husband ends up needing to be, for me to carry him out, he put himself in the wrong place.
How did he get God, yeah. And that's the worst of all, man. Because like I said, I have friends who are on the LAFD. They're with the fire department, and they have told me, over and over that that the men have to take up 90% of the slack of the women on the squad, because the women can't cut it. They can't do what the men can do. They can't carry the load that they need to carry, man. They can't carry a body out of a building, so they have to take up that slack. That's the kind of stuff, man, where it has to be meritocracy. It has to be where you're on that. But here's the thing: I'm fine with women being on the squad if they can do the same things the men could do. They can carry the same load. They could do exactly what the men could do. You can't lower the bar because someone's a woman, and you can't lower the bar because someone's a different race or because of whatever. It's like it has to be a certain standard. If I have to get surgery, I don't give a damn what color they are. As long as they can do the job and keep me alive, that's all I care about.
Exactly. Look what Pete Hegseth did. His very first action, he put this out. The very first thing he did when after he's Secretary of Defense, DOD, no DEI. No exceptions, name changes or delays. Those who do not comply will no longer work here. I mean, I think it's simple. It's meritocracy. Where did that become a bad word?
Well, because if you can't meet the standards, if you are unable to meet the standards and get the job, then you got to fall back on your victimhood, points. I'm a victim. You guys wronged me sometime. Well, it wasn't really me. It was my relatives from 400 years ago or whatever. But, you got to play upon all of these victimhood points in order to, get a job or get some love. That's basically why they do it, because it's the only thing they got going for them. But, if you had skill, you would, rely on your skill, right? You would say, hey, I got skills. I can get this job done. I can do this job. I don't need my skin color or my gender or anything like that to lift me up and elevate me above somebody else. So when you have nothing else to compete with and you're really, substandard, you got to fall back to victimhood. That's the only thing that you got. The only card left to play is the race card, I didn't grow up the same way as this guy over here. You start
or the trans or gay card or whatever.
Stories.
But it's pandering. It's tokenizing. I mean, they don't. Do they not realize what they're saying? It's like, hey, I'm going to help you by telling everybody that you can't do.
They don't realize it.
Worse, they're saying that standards themselves are somehow discriminatory.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like getting into calling things like mathematics, which if you're building a building or trying to build a plane or a computer, there are certain things that it has nothing to do with humanity. It has to do with numbers. And
well, they tried to say math was racist.
That's what I mean.
Remember? Milk was racist. Remember 6 months ago?
If you can't compete, if you have to carry 100 pounds of hose up a building,
hose or hose?
Hey, baby, you want me to carry 80 hose?
Which hose?
I can carry 2 hoes on each shoulder.
I want like them.
I want firemen to carry multiple hose anywhere they go.
Well,
they usually do.
But in all honesty, up a flight of stairs, try carrying
a
hose for water up a flight of stairs. It ain't easy. And if you have to do this, and you can't do it when there's people's lives at stake and a building is burning, these standards exist for a reason. If you can't do it, you can't do it, period.
Well, and their racism is on full display right now with the immigration bills, right? Because they're all like, I want to see the immigration come in here. I'm going to tell all the illegal immigrants and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you do realize that you're just, first of all, you're showing how stupid you are, because you think every Mexican person here is an illegal immigrant. That's what you're saying. And then they're like, they're like, and who's going to be running your restaurants and doing all this and doing all that? It's like, well, first of all, you're not even thinking about the legal people that are here, like, the actual citizens that live here that they're taking jobs from. But, it's like, it's just their stupidity. It's on full display every day. And people have had enough of it. And that's why things are getting the way they are. And it's really coming faster than I even thought it was possible. Like Saturday Night Live and certain other things are starting to swing around and realize how stupid they've been. And yeah, a lot of it's just fair weather friend kind of things, but at the same time that they're smart enough to see it, that's what matters first.
100%.
You guys seen that? That's where the Oscars are going this year too.
Oh, the Oscars are going full woke this year.
Did you guys see the meme, I guess, going around social media about all of the illegal migrants not showing up to work in the farms, and that's going to drive all of our prices up and everything? So because they're not showing up because they're afraid to get deported, and everybody's saying, "Oh, this is some kind of a huge problem," and it's like, why are we trying to exploit illegal farm workers or illegal immigrants for cheap labor? Like, shouldn't we be trying to promote, pay people what they're worth instead of trying to use illegal immigrants for cheap labor and then crying about it when they don't show up? It's like, this sounds like 1865 all over again. Oh my God, who's going to pick our cotton? Like, that's literally what people are online saying. And it's like, yo, they don't understand it. They can't see through it because all they're thinking about is the victimhood stuff. And it's like, yo, you guys are promoting the exploitation of illegal immigrants by pushing, oh, well, they're not showing up to pick the crops anymore because they're afraid of getting deported. And it's like, I don't care. Good. hey, maybe we should
Good,
start,
yeah.
these farmers should start paying people what they're worth, pay for what the job is actually worth. I don't mind paying a little bit more for groceries.
No.
If that means that, we're going to actually get, the right people in the right spots. We're going to give jobs to Americans instead of illegal immigrants, and you're going to exploit them for their cheap labor. I would rather them pay people what they're worth. If this job is worth $20 an hour, $25 an hour, pay it. That's fine. I will pay the extra money for the groceries because that's the rightful cost of the labor. I have no problem with that. But everybody
doing a hell of a
online was
lot
just
more.
crying. It's ridiculous.
Trust me, they're doing a hell of a lot more work for a few bucks an hour than those kids demanding $20 at Burger King are.
Yeah, but they're going to destroy everything. I'm going to take some super chats because I think there are questions for everybody, so catch them up real quick. But one thing I got to tell you before we take them is I went to Shipley's, this donut shop, right? And there the other day, and the same guys that I've seen year after year after year, they're Hispanic, so they're in the background. These Mexican guys, and they all of a sudden are speaking English, and I'm like, Jose, what the hell happened to you? He's like, George, he's like, I'm going to get deported. I'm like, you're not getting deported. You're legal. Because everywhere they're being told that, they're going to come after them next. I'm like, you're legal, dude. Stop listening to the crap. And I'm like, do you think speaking English is going to help you? Like, it's just, there's a lot of fear that's being pumped from the other side. And it's impacting people's daily lives. Anyway, bring up the super chats, Fletcher. I think we have some questions here for people. War Machine gifted 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, War Machine. Bless you, my friend. And that means this week's, I couldn't do it yesterday because we had problems with the weather because of the Arctic blast. And it was going away and the internet was going up and down. So we're going to do a membership stream this week. Everybody go thank War Machine 300. Thank you very much for that. And it's the Phobos, my brother from another mother, for $2. The Amish have been amazing for disaster relief. Yeah, hell yeah. He's referring back to North Carolina and everywhere else. Thank you. It's the Phobos. Graph Web for $2 in the name of Trump. Oh, not in the name of all that's holy. I get it. Cancel Disney Plus. I'm with you, Graph Web, every week. The most dedicated man on the internet. Thank you for that. And Mikey Likes It, a member for 4 months. I guess you sent in a super sticker. Thank you for that, Mikey. And Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. Shout out for $5. Shout out to everyone on the panel. Tyrone's Stone Cold impressions are hilarious. Yes, they are. And we're glad he's here.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And congrats to Gothix's new position at the Rippaverse. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Congratulations to Gothix. Thank you, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. Gavin Free Nunn for $2. Tyrone is a chat. That is all. There you go. Istavell was for another $5. What's the point of a land acknowledgement if you're not giving it back or at least paying rent? It's the ultimate empty gesture. It makes it worse. Talking probably about the Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, it is. It's just virtue signaling. Nick the Greek for $5. I'm so glad that North Carolina people have finally been acknowledged by our government. Thank you, Trump, for making things right. Yeah, it only took winning the presidency, turning everything around. It's horrible to think about how much they've suffered. Yellow Flash for $10. George, what do you think is being hidden on the second floor of Graceland? Tom has theories. This must be some inside joke. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
You must not watch Flashcast, yes.
I didn't watch it last night. Otherwise, I'd have been off.
Flash stumbled upon this because when TikTok went down, he stumbled upon this Elvis channel where they were talking about the mysterious second floor of Graceland.
Okay.
And how certain people have gone up there, and there was this one story. I can't remember the actor, but they went up there and they threw up. So that's kind of like one of the, we don't know what they saw to make them throw up, but yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get it.
I know that got me interested.
Okay. Thank you, Yellow. Yeah, we got to look this up in a second. Thank you, Yellow Flash, for that. I'm going to try to be on next Saturday. And then we have Jeremiah Umbrecht for $5. Rumor the Russo brothers will oversee X-Men reboot. Motherfucker.
I hope so.
My camera.
I would love that, actually.
X-Men reboot and more after Avengers Secret Wars release. Yeah, I like the Russo brothers. I think they would do great. Then we have, thank you, Jeremiah. Chris Bowles for $5. There are more black people on this panel than there is at my local Popeyes. Love each one and subscribe to them too. Now I want to eat some chicken. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Nick the Greek for $5. I started watching the Section 31 trailer and couldn't finish it, so instead I rewatched the original series in 4K. I miss good Star Trek. So does Robert. So does I. So does everybody else. Leonard Nimoy's rolling in his grave. Mark of Yeah, he is. Mark of reality for $10. So Iger was in a meeting with Donald J. Trump. I remember a press conference last week where Trump was saying that he took Elon, but someone there was someone that Elon hates. He wouldn't say who, though. Well, Elon hates Iger. Remember when he made that whole big thing at the New York Times Dealbook Summit a year and a half ago? Fuck this. Excuse me. Thank you, Mark of reality. Yay! Let me help you get that, DA. I like that. I gotta find one of those. Show that again.
Right
Can you
here.
show that? Oh, sweet. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, not only that, speaking of Star Trek, did you hear about that last minute
New
bid
writer?
that some company, a new company come in now and overbid Skydance?
Yep.
No,
And it's a bunch of investors, and one of these investors is, quote, the richest man in the world, or one of the richest men in the world.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
I wonder who that could be.
It can't be Bezos. It can't be Bezos. He spent too much on those.
Bezos might even be involved because it's hard to say because somebody also involved in a satellite company. So I don't know.
I just want to say that Jeff Bezos's rocket company Blue Origin in the lobby, he bought the 8-foot model of the Enterprise refit that was built for Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He bought it. It's in his lobby of Blue Origin, the actual model that they used for all the Star
Bezos
Trek
was
films.
at that meeting too.
But you know that name? I've always thought that was a horrible name. It sounds like the blue pill. You know, it's like Blue Origin. When you see his, it just, I'm not happy with that.
He's
Anyway,
a Star Trek fan, though.
He is. Well, whoa. He also said he was a Tolkien fan. So let's not take things too.
He regrets. He probably regrets.
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. John's you for $7.42. At a restaurant, no one cares who prepared the food, only that the food is good and prepared properly. Everything should be that way.
Totally.
I agree. I don't care if a Mexican is making my sushi. As long as it's good, I don't care.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a Japanese guy. It doesn't have to be an Asian guy at all. As long as the food is good, I don't care.
I bet you would be unhappy if it was Leslie Headland.
I've lived in California, and George, you live in Texas. I mean, and Verbal, you're here too. I've lived in California for 36 years. I have met so many business owners that came from Mexico. Their families have multi-generations of businesses. I've met incredible entrepreneurs who work in every walk of life.
Yep.
And it's such a weird thing how we demonize people coming up from the southern border when so much of Southern California is because Southern California was Mexican before it was American. And if you know anything about our rich, vibrant history, I can't imagine California without Mexico.
Right, but let me ask you a question. This isn't going towards like California has the greatest Mexican food, right? Because Texas does. Just making sure.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to disagree. We're gonna have to disagree.
You might disagree on that one, then, because
Skiz Spivak Esquire, give the 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, Skiz. Always great to see you. Beautiful. So please, everybody, go thank Skiz. We're gonna have more people at the member stream this week. Tender Warrior 68 is also back. Beautiful thing. He gifted 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. We are going to have a hell of a lot of people at this new member stream. I like it. And I have exciting news coming up. I'm working on a special project. It's a big surprise. We'll talk about that soon. But Gothix, while you were away, people were congratulating you on becoming part of the Rippaverse.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So everybody's excited about that. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I mean, yeah, so he reached out and asked me to be the spokesperson. So I'm going to be doing like company updates and telling everyone about the latest products. And a lot of people are excited for me. And then, you got some people that are salty and they can drown in their salt.
Screw them. I saw your pictures that you released the other day. I never knew. You said, I'm paraphrasing, something along the line like, when I was promoting demons or Satan, nobody had a problem with me or something like that. And you showed the pictures, but now everybody has issues. It was you hit it. I can't say it the way you said it, but it was on point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is like the product of culture where everything just goes full circle because people who are upset about me joining the Rippaverse, they like to like dig through my old tweets and look at my past. And And it's like, well, I don't know. You guys are sort of like the people that are usually like rooting for those that are like, oh yeah, live your life, worship Satan, worship demons. And now they're trying to shame me for it. I'm like, you guys are confusing me. Like, make up your mind.
They just hate, and they hate. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's not logical. They're just haters.
Yeah, they're window lickers, short bus riders. That's it.
You know what, though? It's weird though, because I've told Eric this many times. I'm like, man, you have the weirdest haters in the world, man.
He does.
Yeah.
Like, he has the weirdest haters. Like, they're not even like,
stop having fun, damn it.
It's
Do
like,
you know you parted your hair differently? What's wrong with this?
The same people who push DEI and want DEI are constantly condemning a black man who started his own comic book company.
Mm-hmm.
Make that make sense.
It's jealousy. It's jealous. It's the same way Tyson came out right after Musk did Heavy Rocket 1 when it was caught with the chopsticks. 24 hours later, Tyson comes out and he was like, you know, NASA could have done this 40 years ago. This is no big deal. They just didn't do it.
You know, I've looked at Eric. I've used him as an example. I self-published a comic book 20 years ago, and I'm working on a project now that we went direct to our audience to first. And I've thought about Eric. I've talked about what Eric did with the Rippaverse with ISOM issue 1. And having gone through the experience of publishing a comic book, I thought what he did was absolutely brilliant in that he has a 96-page graphic novel made, spent his own money, invested his own time and capital, created a product, then went directly to his audience and sold it to them, was wildly successful, has continued to put out product. And in my mind, what Eric July did, taking social media, leveraging his audience, providing them with a great product and promoting it the way he did, and then following it up by hiring really great creators, that to me is what everybody should aspire to. That's a brilliant use of not only your own social media platform, but also being an entrepreneur and delivering a great product. And right. I've gotten pushback when I've been supportive of him on my own streams. And I've said, you know, I've looked at him as a aspirational and inspirational figure. And it's been wild to me to see a lot of people come out and go after him. Like, I've only streamed with him a couple of times, but I'm like, why wouldn't you want to be like him?
The green-eyed monster has no boundaries.
But he also he invested his own money in himself, and he made a product. He didn't crowdfund it before it was done. He made it first, and then went to his audience. And I'm like, there's a lesson to be learned from what he's done, and he's kept it going. You know, he's not resting on his laurels. He's moving forward and hiring Gothix, which also is a brilliant move. And by the way, you've got to watch Gothix documentary. Everybody should watch that documentary.
Keeps winning.
Everybody should, because that also is something everybody can learn from. But I mean, why not? And here you have two great voices in the public, in the online space. Why not put it together?
Rob, but also two people of color, right? Two people of color. And the thing is, though, the people going after them are the people who are so pro DEI.
It's just bizarre, man.
Well, it's because of his political opinions. It's his political ideology, you know.
Yeah.
And he's showing that you don't need diversity, equity, and inclusion to get the job done. He kind of stands as a counter example to how you can make this thing work. You can go after it with talent, with hard work, determination, building an audience, like he's doing everything that the other folks don't do. Because again, everybody's relying on their victimhood points. And Eric July is not relying on victimhood points to get it across and get, the Rippaverse off the ground and continue to be great. So, yeah, I mean, that's the reason why he has all of these haters, because he's proven their narrative absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Well, Tyrone,
it also shows you how full of shit they are too, though. Because if you were to ask these same people, right, would they vote for a black Republican to be president? They'd say no, right?
No, because they're not. What have we learned? The one thing leftists hate. They are probably the most racist people. Malcolm X talked about it. How many times? Watch out, for the white liberal. They're foxes. And we've learned that they come, tolerance. And who are the most intolerant people? Lefties, not liberals, lefties. Big difference.
Well, this is why I say like this cycle of like wokeness is just always going to continue because your worldview influences your politics and that influences the culture. So if you really think about it, I've been trained to deal with these types of people just by me doing the political commentary and now me working for the Rippaverse. It's literally the same thing. The same people calling me out and calling me all these names are white liberals. Like,
You're
there's
battle
no
hardened.
difference.
So you're battle hardened. You're ready. Tyrone, how do you deal with your haters?
Block.
Perfect. No, I mean that's easy because your reactions are
right here.
Easy, simple, straight to the point. There was a video that came out yesterday. I've been dying to share it with all of you. It was one of the gentlemen from Valuetainment, from Patrick Bet David, and they were. Well, I'll just play it for you. They were relaying what it was like to be, Gavin Newsom during his interview.
Wildfires have destroyed millions of acres of the state, displaced countless amounts of family. Do you take responsibility for any of this? And is there anything more you think you could have done?
Not really. I think these fires were very devastating. I think the full scope of what actually has happened, we're not there yet. Okay, these people's houses are just destroyed. People are suffering. People are sad. But we're Californians. We're going to push through. We're going to push through. And where we're going, the vision is 10 times bigger than anybody else can even imagine.
Former President Trump has recently criticized your leadership, saying that you failed California. What's your response to him? And what does the future of California look like?
To be honest with you, I try to block that rhetoric, because the words that come out of his mouth, all the words out of his lips, they don't mean anything to me. He needs to use these more, because the future of California is bright. It's so bright. When you really try to look at it, I mean, really, really look at how bright it is, you're going to need shades to live in California 24 hours a day.
Critics are saying that you're all hand gestures and no action. What's your response to that?
I think people are wrong. Okay, they need to wake up. I speak with passion. I speak with fire. No pun intended. And I feel if I use my hands a lot, people won't be focused on the lies that are coming out of my mouth, because I lie a lot. So I want to distract them with my hands.
Interesting. Wait.
What?
Where'd my gum go?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. Would you look at that? You know what? This gum is just like California. It's sticky, it's resilient, and it'll bounce back.
You're a scumbag.
Thank you.
They nailed it.
He did nail it.
Painful. That's Gavin Newsom in a nutshell.
That was perfect, man. and you know the saddest thing of all is that when this is all said and done, Gavin Newsom will come out of this unscathed.
No way.
I'm telling you, George.
It's
Karen Bass is going to be the fall guy, which she should anyway, but she's going to be the fall guy. They're going to dump it all on her and say, oh, she mismanaged L.A. He's going to separate L.A. from California now, right? She mismanaged L.A. and the fires, right? But I, oversee all of California, and I and blah, blah, blah. And he'll do his word magic, and, dumbass leftists will listen to him and vote for him again or keep him in office. There won't be a recall. But Karen Bass will be the one to fall. Which she should, by the way.
I'm going to show you the reason for that. Dante is 100% right. Go to the private chat.
Yep.
Pull up this chart. This tells you exactly how California politics have been running for years. For years and years and years. It's all in the family. All right. It's a family experience with these guys. All right. So you can see the connectivity between the Getty family, the Newsom family, the Browns, and the Pelosi's. Okay. Mm-hmm. These guys are so connected into California politics. They prop each other up. They build each other up, and they have all the money. They have all the political capital that they could possibly want. And this is how they've been getting it done. You can see Jerry Brown was a governor. Pat Brown was a governor. Nancy Pelosi, obviously the Speaker of the House. All right. You see Gavin Newsom got to be governor, and then all the various judges, by the way, and everything else. Look at the connectivity there. This is California politics. When you guys wonder why California politics is the way that it is, this is why. All right. All of this connectivity stays in the family.
You don't think there's fire with the election of Trump? Both together are not going to drive a stake through it after what everybody experienced?
Nope. No. Californians are hard-headed, man. They are hard-headed. They'll continue to deal with this forever, just to make sure that they never say, dang, Trump was right. MAGA was right the whole time. They'll never, ever bend to that. So, yeah, no, it's going to be like that. And whoever's coming after Gavin Newsom, they're going to build them into the family. It's going to be the exact same thing, man.
And also, I mean, Southern California is going to be irrevocably changed because of this. And it's going to take 10 or 20 years. I mean, it's interesting to watch the clip you played earlier, watching Karen Bass going, well, they can go back in a week. We just had rain, okay? The first rain in basically 8 months.
Yeah.
All of the toxicity of all of everything that burned down, they didn't start cleanup right away. It's all now in the groundwater. You know, it's all it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. People could have gone in, like Trump said, let people in to clean up, give them hazmat suits so they can walk in and start vacuuming up the garbage that was left. We don't do that. You know, everybody's in California. Everyone needs a taste. Every group, you know, you want to make low-income housing here, you'll pass a $2 billion referendum, but each low-income housing unit costs $800,000. Everybody needs to make a profit. Nobody's ever willing to work at cost to do something for the betterment of the rest of these communities. You know, in Altadena, and I didn't know this, I heard I didn't know what redlining was in California, where they kept certain groups, minority groups, out of certain areas. And I heard a woman whose parents were the first Black family to be able to live west of Lake Avenue in Pasadena that I'd traveled on. And they had the first house in 1985. Now they're elderly. That house was a beacon for all other Black families to come and move. Altadena was a very diverse community because of all of this. Their house burned to the ground. You know, it was one of these first houses, and that was in 85. And the daughter, this woman, Erin, was wondering, where are my parents going to go? Well, they've lived there. They were beacons of the community. They were the first people to build or have this house west of Lake, which is now right above Pasadena. Where are we going to go? No one has an answer for them. No one has an answer for these people. Karen Bass is like, nah, you can't go even back into your houses for a week. Why is that? Why is that? Trump are landowners that own this land. It's their land. And if there's nothing more American than owning land, I don't know what is. And in California, you know, everyone's plotting and scheming and planning, as the Joker would say, to get it's the same thing that happened in Maui.
This is Chinatown too, man. There's a bunch of companies coming in trying to buy up this land and shit.
It's so distressing. The Pacific Palisades land is probably some of the most expensive land in the United States.
Oh, easily.
And it's going to be gross what is going to happen in the next 5 years here.
Well, hopefully Trump will be able to do something about it. But we have I've been collecting reactions ever since Trump was inaugurated. Wanted to see everybody's reaction to it. Here's the first one.
Specifically this week, some have described it as a shock and awe campaign, which might be what it is. I guess the danger is in covering Trump 2.0. How do we deal with this? Because these things have real implications. Everything Joyce just described, people are affected by this. This is not an abstraction.
We tried to tell y'all. I mean, Ali, I wrote specifically about this issue, what he was going to do to the Department of Justice multiple times during the election cycle, because as you pointed out in your open, this was all written down. So I don't like the shock and awe version of this, because if you had been paying attention, they wrote it down. They told you exactly what they were going to do and exactly how you were going to do it. And a majority of white people voted for this. This is the disgusting version of America that people want. And oh, by the way, eggs are still more expensive.
Minor point, because you've had Harry Siteson or Sisson or Sissy, whatever the hell his name is. He came out.
Just call him Sissy. That's what he is.
Okay, Sissy boy. He came out 12 hours after Trump was inaugurated, and he looks at the camera. I told y'all, I was right. Eggs are not cheaper. Trump said day one they're going to be cheaper. Guys, it was going to be cheaper. And people take him seriously.
It's funny because when people were voting for Trump, the left was saying, oh, do you really care about low gas prices? You're going to vote for a fascist because you want low gas. So now they care about the price of stuff. And by the way, from my understanding, there's a bird flu epidemic, which is affecting the price of eggs. But of course, these people hate context.
Yeah, it's what they've been doing. It's insane.
See, the thing is, it's funny right now watching them scramble. It's funny watching them infight with each other. You know, we're being entertained by it. We're watching all the meltdown videos on TikTok. All of that is fine and good. The problem is, though, at some point, these assholes are going to get their shit together, and they're schemers. They're schemers, like Tom said. They're schemers. So that's when we got to start worrying, because at some point they are going to get their shit together, and then that's when they're really going to start putting up the roadblocks. They're going to start trying to interfere with what Trump is doing, and I think we just have to be like really on top of that, because right now it's all fun and games until the plans start coming out.
I know we look alike, but it was Rob that said that. So just like,
oh my bad, Rob. Yeah.
You can't tell us apart.
No, I was by the way, I was quoting Heath. I was quoting
He's
Heath
the one
Ledger.
with hair.
But you're right though. It's like, these are schemers, man. And here, let's be honest, they're pretty good at it.
Right? I'm going to do what Disney said last week.
They've been schemers for the past like 18 years.
Well, what's unfortunate, what the point I was trying to make too, is that I lived underneath Altadena for 7 years.
Mhm.
Altadena is an incredibly diverse community with lots of mom and pop businesses.
Yeah.
Like, there was an ice cream place I would go to that was owned by this guy. I don't think it's there anymore. And it was right next to a great pizza place, and it was right next to this other place, all these different stores. I went up to a gym that was up there. It was like a neighborhood, a real great community. Now there's a lot of wealth in Altadena too, but that's what made Altadena so interesting. It was a collision of all these different kinds of people that represented a lot of California history, and it was multi-generational, because in California, here's another thing. There's a lot of people that lived in both Altadena and the Palisades. When you buy land, you are locked into your property taxes. So there's a lot of these places that had property taxes that were 60 years old, so that they didn't rise. So you had families would pass down their property. They wouldn't sell it. They'd keep it in their families, which is what generational wealth is all about. Well, now these things are all gone. You can bet your bottom dollar they're going to say, okay, we'll let you build a house, but you have to pay today's property taxes. You don't get to pay the property taxes that you were paying 40 or 50 or 60 or 80 years ago when you first moved here.
And so they're driven out.
And so they're driven out.
Yeah.
And that is going to be something that, like, I haven't seen anyone talk about this. And I've been watching. I'm like, when are they going to come out and say, nope, you have to pay. I mean, if you own the land, you shouldn't have to pay a newly assessed property tax, but they're going to say, well, you built a bigger home, or you've done something different. We're going to zone it differently. And that's where they're going to kill, and they're going to get a lot of people. They're going to kill a lot of people's dreams of building back, because they're going to price everybody out. And who's going to swoop in? Developers. They're going to make mixed use buildings.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
It's already
had a problem. I've always had a problem though with property tax once you pay your home off. I thought once you pay your home off, I really don't think you should have property tax.
Well, and it goes back to what I said about, and I people have gotten on my ass about it. I don't care. I don't believe most of these fires were natural.
I know you've talked about that several times.
I don't believe they were natural at all. You can't convince me that they were.
Well, we've caught, how many people now have been caught lighting fires after the fire started? Yeah. You've seen that, Dante?
I mean, the problem with that is I've seen it, but it hasn't been clear on if they caught the people or if they're just throwing names out. So like none of that has been confirmed. So I'm not going to say who's done it, but I just don't believe that these are natural fires. Not, at least most of them aren't.
Well, I mean, in LA, there's, the homeless people are setting fires all the time because it gets cold at night. And so there's always fires going on. And so a lot of this has been, attributed to the homeless crisis as well. People setting fires, and then fire gets out of control. The winds start blowing. Next thing you know, the whole neighborhood is gone. So, who knows? But yeah, it's all part and parcel. Listen, the fires could have been contained if we had the proper government response. If we were prepared, if we were ready, if we had water in the fire hydrants, if we had water in the reservoirs, if we didn't have all of this underbrush that had just been accumulating over the past few decades, this wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been a fire, but it wouldn't have been the problem that it became. And so a lot of this is just attributed to government incompetence.
Well, the real problem too is that there is no profit in cleaning up the underbrush. You're just paying for labor and making sure it's safer. But no one profits from that. I mean, we profit as a community, but preventative measures are not sexy. Nobody wants to pay for those things. That's why the homeless population keeps getting bigger, because helping people that have addiction issues and helping people that have mental health issues, you're just paying money. You're not getting any money back. But I would say that when Michael Corleone said in Godfather 3, helping your fellow man is profitable, that's something we need to remember as Americans. Sometimes you have to start spending tax dollars to help people and not expect money coming back. And we've turned everything into profitability. And I'm a capitalist, but I also believe that when you have a society, you have a civilization, you also have to maintain that civilization infrastructure. We didn't have the kind of infrastructure we needed. It needed to be built. We needed to clear the underbrush. All this stuff that needs to be done, we just felt, we'll just sweep it under the rug. And now we see what happens.
I just say follow the money. Follow the money. Like from here till the next couple of months, just follow the money. See where it goes. I'm telling you right now, this was all kind of set up. This was all set up.
See. Well, watch. You have a lot of good instincts, but I'm with Robert in that instinct. I'm a capitalist, but helping others is a way also to help yourself because of the social contract. I mean,
but in the long term, you want people. Look, you want a healthy, educated population.
Correct.
That's for national defense. And the health of our country is being diminished over the last 50 years, and our educational system has gone to shit on every level. Why is that? Why don't we invest in that? Why aren't we paying teachers more money? And if we couched it as a national security issue, maybe people would stand up and take notice. But we don't. We want... You know how many people, I heard a statistic that said of our young people, of military age kids aged 18 to 20, only 23% of our population could even be in the military. 23% they're the only people that could pass physical fitness tests. Now, forget the military. I don't think having a nation of 23% of our young people being fit is a good thing.
Oh, hell, of course not.
How about
Everybody has to be.
How about 75%?
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Absolutely. The new wave of, I agree with you completely, but the new wave of meltdowns are now coming from federal employees. Have you seen these, Tyrone, the last couple of days that they've been running around? I think you're muted.
I saw a little bit of this one yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a string of them I'm now finding.
Oh, it happens. What a way to end the week. 5 o'clock on a Friday. Got our notice. Effective March 10th. We're back in the office 5 days a week.
Yeah.
They have to work. Whoever figured, you get a paycheck. Somebody's got to work. Verbal, did you ever hear about
from
that
them
thing?
is hilarious.
Well, okay, so I did see this, and I think this is an interesting topic because after the lockdown, I had a job where I was working remotely, but the company I worked for, their base was like in Northern California or something, but I was here in Southern California doing remote work. So if they would have told me, hey, I have to come into work, then I would have been screwed, right? Because I'm not moving to Northern Cal, right, to work for them.
But they would have offices for you where you live. That's the thing. That's one of the directives.
Right. So if it's a situation where there's local offices, then I'm all for it. Get your ass back to work. But if it's one of those situations where your company is in a different state and you're, in a different, you're working from home, that could be a problem for some people. That could lead to some unemployment. You know what I mean?
They're telling people, like, basically, you work for the federal government, because before Biden left, he was trying to do everything to burn down the house. And one of the things he did is he had written an order where I think it was 45,000 or 52,000 federal employees could only work at home. Like, he wrote the order in such a manner where he could stop Elon, because Elon and Trump had been talking about it. One of the first things we're going to do is how we're going to weed out all these DEI, how are we going to weed out all the wokies, how are we going to weed out all the radicals who aren't here to do a job but to push an agenda. We're going to make them all come to work, like Musk did for X. Get your ass back in the office. And they're like, they just have to go to their nearest federal office, whatever it is. Well, now they're all starting to complain.
No telework. And that's the most fucked up thing, is not only did you issue this executive order, Cheeto, but the executive order trumps, unintended, and rescinds any previously agreed upon telework agreements.
Yeah, the one Biden wrote.
So before, I was able to telework once a week when I was in the office every day. Now, no mores. I am so upset. I am so mad. And honestly, I also feel for the parents. They're going to need to figure out childcare. They're going to have to commute. So many people don't live in DC and have to drive so far every single day. Like,
But you live 45 minutes or 30 minutes out of it. That's the part you're leaving out.
sucks. This sucks. And the crazy thing is, we've only just begun.
Yes, it's beautiful.
We're just getting started on all of this fuckery.
That's what we used to do. We always used to drive to work.
It's so weird
We
to
always
hear
had
that.
to commute.
I know.
What is this? We always had to drive long distances to work, especially if you in the LA area. I got to commute like 45 minutes to Irvine every day. What are you talking about? It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
not to her.
Man. People are whining. What did you do before the pandemic?
They found out, DA, they found out when you go and you read the comments, they found out she lives 45 minutes outside of DC. And so 45 minutes, that's too much. That's displacing her entire life. 45 minutes. When I lived in Santa Monica, I remember I had to go to Pasadena every day and then, go to San Bernardino. That was what? Back then, that was 92. Yeah, 92. That was 35,
That's
40
an
minutes.
hour, a couple of hours, maybe.
I did the
A
bus
couple
a
hours
few
on
times, and
a
then I
good
rented
day.
a car.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man.
You know what though? I can tell you where all this stems from, man. I mean, we're trying to figure out like how did we get here, right? How did we get here as a society? Easily, after Gen X, for some reason, and I got to blame my generation for this. We had kids, and we treated them like pussies, right? They were all given participation trophies, right? Everybody's a winner. There's no losers, right? So we have a whole generation of that. Of kids who know no struggle, who don't understand what it's like to really work, right? And we raised that, and now this is what we have to deal with. This is where all this began.
And why? Because you remember what we've said. When you're talking about suck it up, buttercup, they don't know what that means. They don't know what it is to go through a struggle, because you've had teachers and you've had parents who turn around and say, oh, no, my child is a winner. My child is special. I'm like, your child is like eating his ass hairs. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's like your kid is like a half a rock away from being like,
George, I'll go step
They
further.
call them winners. They call them winners because they didn't want them to know what it was to lose. So then when they get to life, they're like, oh, life is easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when you go to a grocery store and you see a kid acting up and doesn't get his ass beat, that's where all that stems from, right? I can imagine being in a grocery store throwing a fit with my parents. They would have whooped my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My
They would
mom
have
had
tore
the
me
Greek-
up.
My mom had the Greek magic, we call it pandofla, the house slipper. It would be sometimes in her purse. I would turn around and be like, I would want to go. We had this old store called Gemco. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to go over there. She's like, you're not going to move by my side. Okay, I have to admit, I was a little wily when I was a kid. So there was a couple of times she had this leash on me. It was a leash for kids, like a little vest with the thing. Yeah, I would run around the store. That would freak my mom out. So she had me on this thing, and I'd be like, trying to get out of it. But one time she's like, okay, I'm going to trust you. She removed the thing, and I was like, immediately, like, right out, and I started moving. I don't know what the hell hit me, and I'm like, but I see my mom has the house shoe in her. I'm like, you wear house shoes to the store? No. She's like, I got it in the purse.
Just for you.
Today, if you were to do that, you could imagine what people would
but
be
see,
saying.
look, the Latino families, they got the chancla. They do the exact same thing, man. They fire that chancla. They can go across the road, man. You see that joint? My mom had the wooden spoon, man. That's what my mom had. The wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Man. Kept us all in line. Hey, raised great kids. Raised great boys.
But nowadays, parents can get child protective services called on them for that kind of discipline.
Yeah, my mom tried disciplining my sister like in Sears back in the day, and one woman that was working, she went up to my mom. She was like, "There's enough killing in the world." My mom's like, "I'm not killing anyone. I'm just disciplining my child."
What is it? When did discipline, Gothix, become a bad word for children? Like that's Because that is really a component that has screwed up a generation.
Yeah, I think it's honestly, I think people, they're not thinking logically about like the long-term implications. They're just feeling. And so they see a child crying and they think, oh, how do I make this child stop crying? And so they think just don't discipline. And you end up creating a monster that the rest of society has to deal with.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, we have a generation of monsters that we have to deal with.
But it's like kids. It's almost like, but what we're talking about is like kids raise kids. Like, oh, I didn't like what my mom did. You know, that's what they're saying. So I'm not going to do that. Except they've raised spoiled brats. It's not only that they're spoiled, they get it reinforced by the school, and then they go out into the world and it just crushes them. That's where safe spaces came. We need a safe space. When I heard that the first time, come on, when you heard that word for the first time, you had to mention, like, what the hell is a safe space? I don't feel safe. I know, you're like, and?
You're offensive.
It's like, grow up. That's life. When you walk out your door, it's an adventure. Could be dangerous, could be fun, but it's living. Otherwise.
Yeah, but that's what we started saying, you know, words are dangerous, right?
Oh.
It's like,
oh man,
you know, if you misgender me, you know, it's going to send me running to the razors. You know what I mean? That's how we got there.
And this guy, I think, feels he needs a safe space.
Oh, boy.
Hey, everyone. My name's Mike.
Hey, everyone.
And this is a message for all the other feds out there that are stressed, worried, unsure of the future. I'm going to put it out there. Please feel free to reach out. This is my 26th year in the government. And I...
See, that's a problem for me right there. 26 years.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
what's with the haircut, man?
I know.
He's a beta male Bob.
Understand what's going on and how everybody feels. I want you to know you're not alone. And if you need to talk or to vent,
I have Ben and Jerry's for you, is what he's saying.
and I'll be happy to send you my information. There's not much we can do, but screaming into the void and just having a sounding board helps sometimes. And the other,
is he gonna cry or is that me? Or
I think he has autism.
Oh, well, I feel
Or it
bad.
seems like it. He seems on the spectrum, at least.
He's definitely a shareholder in Ben and Jerry's.
last part, don't protest. For anybody new, do not protest. You'll be fired. These changes are hard. They're scary. I'm with you. I lost sleep. I'm nervous. We don't know what's going on. So please reach out anytime.
How come I don't feel bad for him? I'm just a bad person. He lost sleep.
This is just for working in the office?
For the federal government, because he has to go to work now.
But he hasn't lost his job.
No, he hasn't. But if you don't show up, you're fired. That's why.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine that, Rob? You don't show up, you're fired.
I started working when I was 13. That was always kind of the case.
Yeah.
I had a paper route. I did yard work, worked in a video store. I did everything I could because blank videotapes were expensive back in the day. And my parents weren't going to give them to me. So the more jobs I had, the better off things were. I had more money in my pocket, but you didn't show up late. People wanted their newspapers on time. If I didn't get them there by 6 a.m., they were pissed. Those Sunday papers were big.
Forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. I mowed lawns. I did. My first job was, about 13 years old because my granddad's like, it was on my birthday, he's like, "You're now a man. You're 13. I'm like, huh? he's like,
hey, when we were 13 and you got paid,
but
that was an amazing thing. And once you got a taste of that,
I liked it.
It was great, and it represented freedom.
Except that's when I discovered the other rule, because I got my first check. I was on the mop crew. It's like the school crew who cleans up the toilets and the soccer field. So it's like I get my first check. I think it was like $75, and go to open a bank account. And I'm like, I turn to my mom, like, I know what I'm gonna buy. She's like, you're not buying anything. That's your saving. I'm like, no, it's my money. So I said, I can do whatever I want. My money. She's like, cool. You're in my house. I'm like, wait. I work for it. She's like, I will dole it out to you. Anyway, so it's like,
you know
what teach you today? Right, teaching you responsibility.
She taught me because I wanted to blow it on comics. I was like, I'm gonna go buy comics.
Worthy goal, George, worthy goal.
Yeah. She let me get them, but then she also found out one day. It's like I think it was like a year later. She's like, I thought you said you were gonna buy comics. Well, what is this? It was a Playboy, because at the comic store, a dude had Playboys. Like, I'll never forget it because it had Sylvester Stallone's wife, Brigitte Nielsen.
Brigitte Nielsen,
And
yeah, I had that
she
issue.
was a goddess. I was like, oh my god!
But George, you know what kids can do now?
Today,
Like,
Playboy has dudes on it. So, like,
but if
no,
you
not
get
a Playboy anymore.
if you get a job, you can open a Robinhood account and take 25 cents of every dollar you make and start investing.
Yep.
You know, you can start investing, you can diversify your portfolio. You can be 20 years old and be a crypto millionaire. There's so much information out there for anyone who has any kind of wherewithal to learn. I mean, you can take your phone, instead of watching or doom scrolling on videos, you can go onto investment platforms and learn things. We have all the technology in the world to help everybody break free and do amazing stuff, but no one's doing
But why is this dude then complaining?
Like, Rob, you bring up a great point. Like, you learn skills as you're a teenager, you know, getting your first job. That's a skill. And imagine if you were pushing investing and saying, learn how to invest now. What a skill to learn as a young man. We don't teach skills to youngsters anymore. They don't even have shop classes anymore. They don't have wood shop and metal shop and auto shop. They had all of these shop classes when I was coming up through, you know, middle school and high school that taught you how to do things, you know. So even if you never ever learn, I'm never going to be a you know, going to carpentry, but I know how to take 2 pieces of wood and saw it and measure it. And, you know, if I need to fix a door frame in my house or whatever, you know, like, you would learn little things like that as a kid. They don't teach skills anymore.
Driver's ed, we'd learn how to change a tire.
Change a tire. Change your oil. Like, little simple things like that.
I never took driver's ed. Well,
you know, I mean, my dad used to
got in a wreck the very first day I drove, so that's probably why.
Driver's ed, but here's another thing. If you think about driving, you know, we had mandatory driver's ed when I was in school. When you learn to drive, and everybody got their license when they're 16. As soon as you start driving, you learn things that you don't even know you're learning. Like, when you get on the freeway, you're very aware that you're part of a universe of people that are traveling to and fro. You have to learn how to drive. You have to learn etiquette. You have to learn how to watch for people behind you, around you. You go to a gas station, you learn to let somebody cut in front of you or in front of you. They're already there. You learn how to deal with people. You learn how to deal with systems. You understand time. How long does it take you to drive from one place to another? There's all of these skills that you're learning that you don't even know you're learning, simply because you know how to drive. We have an entire generation that doesn't know how to drive.
No, they don't. But
so they've been having all of these skills that are life skills that you don't even know you're learning from are gone. Just like what DA was saying. I mean, my mom has a plant. I made her a planter, like that she put plants on, like a stand. It's like a little tiny table. I made that for an 8th grade. She still has it. It's still in her bed.
They're beautiful, of course. I made an ashtray for mine because everybody smoked back then.
Yeah.
But
or you made a bong.
Or a bong, yes.
You forgot the other thing after you learn how to drive. How fast the needle can go from 0 to the other side.
You also have a place to make out.
There you go.
My car was too small for that, but we had places.
And that's the thing, though. Back in those days, man, you know, we wanted to get out, right? Like, everything we did was about getting out. You know, getting a job, getting a car. We wanted to explore. You know what I mean? We want to just leave. You know what I mean? Now everyone wants to stay in and be behind a screen. But back in those days, we actually lived a life. And that's why, you know, going back to talking about writing, you know, we had life experiences to write about because we left the house. Right? A lot of these writers don't even leave the house. They're just, you know, behind a screen.
Wait a minute. They don't leave at all?
But you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're not.
You know what I mean by
not the same.
Have they experienced any of life? Because you have to experience life to write about it.
Right. And a lot of them don't. And you could tell in their writing that they haven't.
Another thing, Verbal, that we also used to do is when you'd plan excursions with your friends. Like, hey, what are we going to do tonight? Like, I had a group of friends that we would always do things on the weekends that required planning. Like, are we going to go snowboarding? You know, I'm from Seattle. We go to either Crystal Mountain or Stevens Pass or something. We're going to go. We would plan it. It's like, okay, who's going to drive? What time are we going to get up? You had to have a plan because it took 2 hours to get up the mountain. So we would make these things and go out and do them and collectively have a great time. You know, you might steal a few beers, get a little drunk, skiing down the mountain. I'm not advocating for that because skiing is not the time you want to be drunk, even though we did it, or get a little stoned. It didn't matter. We were having fellowship and fun together, guys and girls, mass hysteria. And I don't see any of that happening the way it used to happen because we were planners. We did things.
Yeah.
If I can make one suggestion to anybody watching, give your kids experiences. If you have children, give them experiences over stuff. They're going to lose this stuff. They're going to forget all the Christmas presents and the gifts and everything, but they'll remember the experiences, the times that they went out with a bunch of buddies and went snowboarding. Give them that over giving them meaningless video games. Like, again, the video games are great. I'm not saying don't do that, but the experiences will give them the skills and the lessons of life that they will take with them all the way to the end of time. So give them experiences over stuff.
If we're going to talk about this, though, we also got to talk about the demasculation of men, right?
Well, 100%.
Because back in the day, you know, as a man, you know, you did things. It was okay to be masculine. It was okay to like say, hey, you know what? I'm doing this because I want to go on a date with this girl. And you know what? I like this girl and I want to get laid, right? It was okay to say things like that out loud because you were a man. And you have a generation, again, who has literally had the masculinity beaten out of them.
Yeah, but they've been doing that.
But on the flip side of that, you have women who have had the femininity beaten out of them.
Same thing. Yep.
We have somebody here who I think we have a super chat who I'm sorry, what were you saying, Tyrone? Sorry, didn't hear.
Yeah, well, a lot of them, their femininity has definitely been socialized out of them. The way they're raised or whatever, they're taught to, if you want to be a strong woman, you have to act like a strong man.
Right.
No. I always tell people on my channel when I'm talking about, like, for example, you know, there's women out there that, you know, they'll talk about the shortcomings of men and they'll say, that's the reason why we act so masculine, because you're not a man. But you never hear men saying, well, girl, the reason why I act like this is because you ain't acting like a woman.
Right.
When you act like a woman, then I'll stop acting like this. We don't do that. Right? So why does it make sense for them to want to act like us if a man has a shortcoming? You know what I mean?
Agree, 100%. I mean, it's like today you have so many in the trans community, they're all flipping out because of, look, Trump said there's only 2 genders, and I was like, well, you know, that's pretty much it. And you see the videos coming out, and you see some of the responses, and some of the men, well, I would call them boys. They're overgrown boys. They're turning around. They're like, look how many feelings you're hurting. I'm like, we had to come to a point in the country where a president of the United States had to state there are 2 genders. That to me was shocking enough, like that you have to state reality. But to turn around and see the reactions where they're like, well, the people's feelings are hurt. Life doesn't run on feelings. I don't know where that came about.
Well, George, I'll give you a great example. When right before the apocalypse, right before COVID and the lockdowns and all that stuff happened, I was a bartender. I was bartending.
Right.
And, you know, I'm from a generation where, like, hey, man, when you're at the bar, yeah, you're there to drink, but it's a social thing. And, you know, there's, you know, a woman there, you want to go talk to the woman or vice versa and blah, blah, blah. And you want to see people intermingling, having a good time with each other, right? So when I was bartending, I can't tell you how many times I watched as groups of men sat with each other while another group of women were on the other side of the bar. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
Why are you guys talking to each other? Right. I would buy drinks for the guys myself and say, hey, I'll give you a free drink. Go talk to that woman. Go talk to somebody, man. Like, what are you guys doing? And you know what? They would take me up on it. I give them a free shot. You know, I guess you need that little liquid courage. And they would go talk to the woman. But I'm like, what a weird time where you're at a bar and there's a gorgeous woman there and you're there and, you know, and you're looking at each other.
You're from a guy who's not as attractive as most of the men on this panel. I'll tell you right now, most guys are afraid of being not just rejected, because rejection we're used to. It's the being accused of being creepy or sexual harassment.
Yeah,
right?
that's
and we
the
just
problem.
saw this recent deal where this guy was sat in jail for how long? Like 2 years before it finally came out that this chick completely lied about an essay situation, right? Because she thought he looked creepy. And we wonder why men are afraid to approach women now.
No, and that's a good
Because
point, Tom. That's a
they
very
have made
good
it
point.
completely impossible to. And then your only other options are like the internet, right? And most of that is like the bottom of the barrel, right? And what are you gonna do? Go to a bar where so what? I'm gonna fucking get a girlfriend who's got a drinking problem, right? Like so that like the choices are slim.
No, you're right. Tom's right.
experience.
He's
You gotta
100% right.
experience. You got to be a little adventurous. You got to go out for it. I went out on a date for the first time in a long time. It was 3 months ago. The date lasted approximately 45 minutes. It was a blind date. The friend said, I'll never do that again. By the way, don't ever do blind dates. So I go on that day. We go to a restaurant place that I know, start having a good time. And she reaches her hand across the table while we're waiting for appetizer. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of old school. So I put my hand down. She's like, did I give you consent?
Oh no.
Well, I was like, excuse me. But she put her hand across the table, across the little candle.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. So I was like, I smile. One moment, I get up, I go to the managers, again, a friend of mine. I know the chef, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, and so it's like, I get the
guys, now they ask for permission to kiss the girl now.
I never heard of that. I mean, it's like I've seen it in videos, but I'm not gonna be like, so I ordered an Uber for her, paid the bill, left extra. I'm like, she wants to eat. What? I don't give a shit. So it's like, it's before I had lost my job. So I went there, and I'm like, I hope you have a good night. Great meeting you. See you later. She's like, where are you going? I thought we were having such a great time. I'm like, yeah, you read the room wrong. Have a good night. But I go, your Uber will be here in 15 minutes. She's like, but I thank you. I like, you might like that guy over there, and he was sitting here.
You know what though? That's why I always tell young guys. I always tell young guys, look, man, just a rule on the first date: never dinner, only drinks. Only drinks. That first date is that first date is an interview. Okay, never dinner because dinner's too long. You're committing for way too much time.
I wish I looked good enough to be able to walk out on a date. Like
I'm not.
If drinks go well, then you have dinner after that.
You guys are talking like, look, never mind. I love you guys. I adore you, but you're good-looking men. You have no idea what the fuck we deal with.
I'm gonna tell you, it's like that. I agree with your
fuck all this shit. I love you, but no, this is not how it fucking works. I would love to be able to just get up and go, this is not gonna work out, honey. Maybe that guy will. No, I gotta sit there and take that shit. I don't give a fuck how crazy she sounds. I gotta take it because otherwise I'm not getting laid, George. I'm not getting laid for the next 5 fucking years.
I'll take you with me. We'll have a good time. No worry. I'll be your wingman. You're gonna have a great time.
Please, for the love of God.
Guys got to bring a skill set too, though, man.
Oh yeah.
Guys got to learn. You got to practice that ladies first philosophy as well.
You have to have balls. It's simple. Balls, confidence, kind. That's a kind.
Dude, George, I remember back in the day, man. It's like
we have to know how to kiss too.
All you had. Back in the day, all you had was your balls and that little black book and a pen. That's all you had.
You're dating Taylor Swift. Shut the heck up.
Quiet, you.
Hey, that's right. She can't walk. She's moving bow-legged lately.
That's right.
What is going on with her?
You guys have no idea what he's done to Taylor. He has just wrecked that woman for everybody else.
I feel so bad for you guys. that is mortifying. I can't imagine dating in this climate.
It's not,
it's rough.
I was married. I was married. Gothix, everything was fine. But when you date today, I'm used to dating from a different era. You pick the girl up. I call this one girl. She's like, are we going to go out? She's like, yeah. She's like, I'll meet you there. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'll come pick you up. She goes, I don't do that on the first date. I'm like, thank you. We're not going. I don't like that. I feel it's weird. Maybe a new thing because I've known her for a long time. I could imagine some wacko stranger. Yeah, but so many different rules. But that whole consent thing, Gothix, I'm like, I am out of here. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. You need a dog, a cat, here's some peanut butter. Go have a good time tonight. I was like, all right, nope, done. What about you, Tyrone? I mean, you see this stuff crazy today.
But with
it's like with everything. I mean, it's like from dating to what you were just talking about, the women. It's like most men aren't men anymore. Women are trying to act like men. the greatest women today are usually men.
Men are too soft, the women are too hard.
Yeah.
And I can remember, just really starting to get on the internet, a few years ago, I guess in my 20s, and seeing, going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory, you know what I mean? And all the stuff's coming true now. Like they said years ago that they would try to blur the lines of sexuality and, dumb us down also, and it's just the stuff that it's all coming true. All the conspiracy theorists, the majority, what they were talking about, at least the videos I saw, it's all coming true. And we were told they were crazy then.
Yeah.
It's all coming true. It's like, man, look.
You were right. Yeah, they were right. You were right. I mean, that's why I think that it has felt like such, for me, has felt, and maybe everybody agrees, it has felt like such a breath of fresh air since the election. It's like I view it like the age of men has returned, the age of real women. No, because you turn around and you see, I'm starting to see women again start to dress sexy. I'm not talking like some ho-ho on the street, but
right, of course,
feminine, sensual. Like they're
That's
like
the male gaze, though, George. Come on now.
The male gaze is a good thing. There's a reason for it. You go, you look good. I look good. Not like there are some people. Come on. My next door neighbor, I don't want everybody looking like my next door neighbor, where they're going out. I saw him at a restaurant. He looked like he rolled right out of fucking bed. I'm like, where's your pride, dude? It's like, come on, put something on. Look good. What is this shit? It's like you go to your wife.
Can we be honest about where the male gaze bullshit came from? That was just born out of, that was feminism. That was born out of modern day feminism. It's goofy. It's stupid. We are here today because of the male gaze. The human race has survived because of the male gaze.
The Trojan War, man, fought over a woman.
No male gaze, no
female gaze too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
He knows.
Lesbians, they're the worst. Yes.
I mean, you saw Sydney Sweeney.
Gays like GAZ. Never mind.
You saw Sydney Sweeney the last week. They were trying to body shame her because she gained some weight for the role that she's playing. The race car driver? No, the fighter. The
boxer, yeah.
So she did that. They called it some weird word, some kind of phrase, like she did a fish flap, a fish take back. It was like a slap back, but they called it fish something. Mm-hmm. And all she did was go to this apartment in New York and just kind of lay back and have someone take a picture. And she goes, there's body shaming for you. But you saw so many women are like, that's disgusting. She's sexualizing her body. I'm like, she's an actress. That's what we want to look at. Why do you go watch Captain America: The First Avenger with Chris Evans, where he's like comes out all buff from being the little guy? You think that was for dudes? That's for the women to go, to whistle.
Yeah, I'm sure the women watched Aquaman for the storyline.
Yeah, like Jason Momoa knows how to act.
Also, we want fantasy characters, both male and female, to represent the ideal.
Oh God!
Whoa,
you guys.
We caught it. We have you on camera.
Y'all are wild, man.
We have Verbal. Tyrone Verbal used to be a bodyguard for Prince, so him and Taylor
way back in the day. Yeah,
that's when the world went well. We lost.
I bet you they had parties then. Prince knew how to hit those high notes.
It was a different time, man. I mean, it was the wild 90s. So I mean, yeah, it was.
I miss the 90s. I miss the 90s.
Were you there for the basketball game?
You know what? I never got to watch him play ball. No, I started working for him around the time he changed his name to The Symbol.
Oh, okay.
When he was having problems with his record label. Yeah, that's around the time I started working with him.
Were you there when Vertigo turned over to Glam Slam?
Yes,
downtown?
I was. In fact, I was there for that whole.
When he'd come and play there at night after he'd tour in LA.
Yeah, like so he would have these. The club was huge, but he had a VIP area where, like every couple of months, he'll do a private show. And when I say private show, I mean like it'd be him, 6 of us, and then 3,000 women, right? But here's the thing. He had the little man's complex, right? So he's a little weird. And the thing is, he had these rules. Like we couldn't look him in the eye when we were talking to him. So we had to kind of look away or look down, or we couldn't look directly at him. And then the other weird thing was when he did these shows, none of us were allowed to talk to the 3,000 women that were all there because he wanted all the attention on him, right? So
he wanted all 3,000 women. Like he actually.
But here's
thought
the
he
thing.
had the
The
stamina
man's
for
a genius.
that?
He's a genius.
I
Yeah,
got
he's
it.
one of the greatest musicians of all time. But he was just weird during that time.
Did you ever
He
see
became
this
normal a little bit later in his life, though. I will say that he became religious and became a Jehovah's Witness, and
because of
started to get a little more normal.
Graham.
But
did you ever see the Chappelle episode where the playing basketball? With
oh
Prince?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The Eddie Murphy's brother explaining that.
Eddie Murphy. We saw that last week, Rob. We were watching the Eddie Murphy episode of the Charlie Murphy episode with
Charlie Murphy. Oh man.
Dave Chappelle, where he's like, he hit me with that in his forehead and it had unity on the ring. He's like, unity. Anyway, so we have this last person, then we're going to wrap up. Okay, so quick question because it's coming out soon. We'll start with Tyrone. What do you think up and down about Captain America, Brave New World? You think it's going to completely bomb like most people?
It might not bomb.
Oh, that's a
might not bomb.
Okay.
For the most part, I've enjoyed the trailers.
Yeah.
But the problem is everything we're hearing behind the scenes.
Okay.
The budget, they just released that news saying it's only like 180. And
that's so gaslighting.
All the news that's been going on, like everybody says it's more like 350. And all the reshoots and Disney pulling back on the woke. And I just, with everything going on behind it, I'm concerned. It could be good, but I'm concerned. No way do I think it's going to be a Winter Soldier, an Infinity War, a Civil War, Endgame numbers. Not at all. But yeah, that's where I'm at on it. I don't have confidence, but I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy myself.
I feel like at best it'll break even at best, and I don't even think that's going to happen. If I'm being honest,
might be right. Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, Cookie, then what do you think about how they said? Okay, so because after that we have Thunderbolts, and then from Thunderbolts we go to Fantastic Four, and I just read this morning again, unless I'm incorrect, so everybody correct me, that it's actually not going to be an origin story. That Fantastic Four will not be an origin story. So you think
it's not?
Do you think that this is going to be Marvel's year to shine, coming back off of Phase 4 or 5 and all that crap?
The conveyor belt is still moving.
Gotcha.
In the woke out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If I feel like fans are going to get hints of them coming back. But I don't think they're going to be truly back until maybe next year or the year after.
That's good. What do you think, Gothix?
I have no idea.
You're like, I don't care about that.
I don't even care. I just, honestly, very rarely do I go to the movies. Like I try to because I like the event, going out watching something at the theater. But I've gotten into the habit of just being disappointed, and I would like for that to change. But as he pointed out, like it could be a while before all the wokeness is out, even though I don't think it would be entirely out. So I don't know. We'll see.
I saw. Have you seen Nosferatu?
I did.
What did you think?
I thought it was good. It's not every day you see a movie filmed like that. I think artistically, it's a very well shot film.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10. I would say. It wasn't really scary. I just liked how it was shot.
Me too. I love Nosferatu. The thing is Eggers is now he's starting his next production, Werewolf. And then after that, which I had talked about earlier this week on Wednesday, which was confirmed the other day, he's going to do a sequel to The Labyrinth, the one with David Bowie.
I think that's a mistake, man. There's no Labyrinth without Bowie. It's just not. Like I don't see how it can happen.
They're talking Tilda Swinton. I don't like Tilda Swinton. I mean, she's a great actress, but she can't replace Bowie.
No, if anything, you should have Willem Dafoe play the Goblin King and have it like at the end of the first movie when she did what she did to him. She took away all his powers and now he's like in some cave. The problem you have with that movie is at the end, you have everybody celebrating in her bedroom like it ain't no thing, right? Like, so it really kind of defangs the entire film. And they did try to do a quasi sequel to Labyrinth a few years ago called Mirror Mask. I don't know if you guys have seen it or
Yeah.
not, but it failed horribly. But speaking of Werewolf, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. I had an exclusive image of what the Werewolf is going to look like. There you go.
With the mustache.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that.
That is crazy. Okay, we're going to read these super chats and then that will be it. Bring them up because I think we have some questions. Nick the Greek for $5. Ben & Jerry's is releasing a new flavor for its preferred customers. Window flavored. I like that. I like that. Comes with paste. Oh, what was that napkin you had the other day, Dante? You showed it on Twitter. It'll come with window flavored. Remember you were at a bar and you got that napkin?
Oh, no. I was at a brewery. Friday with a friend of mine. And
What did it say?
yeah, we ordered our beer at the counter, and then the chick behind the counter slaps down this pamphlet on, do you know your trans people or something like that. And then it was all about, 4 pages of like, how to address a trans person, how to greet a trans person, understand what these terms mean, like cis and all this. And I'm like, really? At a brewery? At a brewery? Like we didn't ask for this, by the way. We just wanted our drinks.
She's working. She's working it. The Dead Man for $5. Section 31 is not only the worst Star Trek movie I've ever seen, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It was absolutely terrible. That's what Robert was saying. Yeah. And I always follow his film opinions, especially with Star Trek. Thank you, Dead Man. Yellow Flash for $20. Rippa publishes as well. Check out The Mighty Golden Patriot coming soon from Rippa. Hail to Yellow Flash and go check out The Mighty Golden.
Yeah, definitely check out Yellow Flash's book, man.
Hell yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Eric K., King of the Mods for $5. Day Trump arrived, Gavin pushed a bill passing $50 million to counter Trump and blocked $1 billion going to wildfire prevention. Media silent. Yeah, I know. It was the bill designed to, what was it? $50 million to Trump-proof California. Ridiculous. But now you do have members of Congress who are saying they're looking to Newsom-proof California by holding back federal funds. So we'll see who wins that battle. Thank you, Eric K., for that. Steve Easy for $5. Altadena is being prepared to be zoned for apartments and townhomes. They are destroying the possibility of single residence homes being built there. Is that serious?
It
Is that happening?
That's always been the talking points that they're trying to, turn California into a bunch of little 15-minute cities, and there's no actual,
city.
Yeah, there's no city. There's just little hubs that everybody just kind of lives within, and they don't go outside of 15 minutes of their area. So yeah, that would be something you would do with apartments and townhomes and build like little communities around that. But yeah, instead of having actual single family dwellings like we are.
Or tribes. They're making tribes.
This is something that should be pushed back against. And what they're going to do is they're going to use the idea that we need more affordable housing. And yet all of these mixed use buildings they build are not at all affordable. Right. They're incredibly expensive to live there. I mean, you're talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month rents.
Wait, what? How much?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You can get a home for that.
That's exactly right. I mean, my hometown of Seattle, there are apartments that standard price for a downtown apartment's $5,000 a month.
Okay.
I laugh at that. I'm like, really? But that's what happened when the tech Seattle became a tech sector, Microsoft, but Altadena is not that. Altadena, people forget that you still have to make a city livable. Right. You still have to make some place that has a quality of life. And Altadena is a city that's literally in the foothills. It's literally at the base of pretty big mountains, actually. And there's a quaint, in part of it at least, quaint hometown, small town feel of it, and you don't want that to go away. That's something that we're so quick as Americans to just get rid of all of that, and you forget what that can mean. I mean, I lived underneath that place for 7 years, and I could get in my car and in 5 minutes be in the middle of Altadena and enjoy my afternoon, go shopping, go to the dog park there. There's a great dog park there. There was a creamery I love to go get ice cream at, and it was all mom and pop stores, and it was wonderful. And they want to get rid of all of that.
But doesn't that sound, that's everything you're describing, doesn't that sound everybody like they're trying, these 15-minute cities are actually trying to make tribes? Because tribes war
But
with
it's
one
even
another.
deeper than that, though, George.
Nation is
Because
united.
what's happening
Think
is
about it.
these are foreign investors who are coming in and buying this stuff and
Yes.
doing this.
Right, but they're
These
dividing
are foreigners,
people up.
man.
Right, but they're dividing people up. But that's what it sounds like when you look at it from the outside, right?
Well, I mean, if you look at what happened in cities like Vancouver and Canada, you had all kinds of investment. People would buy these or build these big apartment complexes, and they would expect people to come in, or condos. And what would happen is you'd get foreign investment. You'd have like a lot of Chinese would buy these condos, and in order to support all of this new housing, they would build supermarkets, they would build all kinds of stores. And it turns out that these investors would only buy the property, but nobody actually lived there. So all the infrastructure that they built in anticipation of these people moving in was never utilized because nobody moved in. They were just selling these expensive condos and no one actually lived there. People are parking money there as investments, or they're hiding money like so many Russian oligarchs did in New York City. So what we really have to do is, and again, I get it. We're capitalists. Everybody wants to make money, but you have to balance that with quality of life.
Right, you have to. You can't allow someone to destroy your way of life.
No, and that's what they can't wait to do that in Altadena.
Well, hopefully someone will be able to pause it or step on it. Thank you, Steve Easy, for that. Mark of Reality for $5. Donald J. Trump wants to send the money to the states and let them handle the emergency cleanup. California's government needs full credit for what goes on in California. No FEMA. It's supposedly that Trump is either going to somehow work to get rid of FEMA or reorganize it. 2 stories have been coming out of DC the last 48 hours about that. Thank you, Mark of Reality. Always love your support. See Movie Studios for $5. Ask Tyrone, what does a movie with a gay person automatically make a movie woke? So is the answer never put a gay person in the movie?
What?
Where did that question come from? That makes no sense.
From the people that don't understand a damn thing that I say.
Thank you.
Just because someone gay is in a movie that I'm going to say it's woke. I feel like that's a troll.
Yeah, it is a troll.
It has to be a troll.
Has to be a troll.
There's been gay people in movies for years, and they weren't.
Well, as I remind people, 90% of the movies you've seen of all time, 90% of the people working on them are gay.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. Thank you, Tyrone, for that troll.
And wait, did they mean gay actor or gay character? Like, they weren't even specific about it. Like, what does that even mean?
Okay, get that off of there. This is a troll.
This is the same person.
Nick the Greek, yeah, it's a troll. Nick the Greek.
Thank you for your donation.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't like trolls. You want to engage, you want to ask a serious question, but once I realize you're trolling, I appreciate the donation. Nick the Greek for $2. Greek moms and yayas can fling a shoe for sure. Hell yeah, they can, Nick. You understand it? They have nothing on. Steve Rogers has nothing from at you. You fucking get a yaya with a house shoe, your ass is toast. A mile away, I would walk down the block because my mom and my grandparents, they lived a block away, and I'd go mow the grass for my yaya. One time, I just didn't hear because we were on the street, and you have cars driving by, and I just felt something thumping me in the back of my head. And I'm like, she's like, you're not listening to me. I love you. But it was always, I hit you. You kind of get confused, but you grow up and you understand. She's like, hitting is love. It's how I raise you so you can be a strong man. But you eventually get out of that and you understand that it was all about love. Thank you, Nick the Greek. And the Beast for $10. Y'all talking about big skills. Kids can't cook for themselves nowadays, let alone grow plants or butcher animals. Remain blessed, panel. Thank you, the Beast. I know it's horrible. I learned to cook my first girlfriend. My mom, mom supervised our date. I cooked for her. I was like, yeah, the pimp. I cooked for her. She's like, nobody ever cooked for me. Yeah, that was fun.
Good skill to have now.
Hell yeah. I love cooking.
Hell yeah.
The Beast became a YouTube member. Hell yeah, welcome. Can't wait to see you at our member stream. Thank you, The Beast. We're almost done. Black Cane for $10. I have a theory that modern shows and movies screw up the time it takes to travel places is because they are written by people that don't drive and don't spend any time outside of major cities. Yeah, I would agree. We were just talking about they don't have the experience. They have not lived. It's just like journalists today. So many journalists think that they're the next Woodward and Bernstein, except the only problem is they use Wikipedia to make themselves experts. No work.
Dude, you got to say journalist very loosely these days, man.
I do. That's why
we don't have journalists anymore.
You saw Jim Acosta throw a little hissy fit the other day because they found a way to fire his ass from CNN, except it was like, guess what? We're giving you a promotion. It's the 2 a.m. anchor slot. He's like, I'm out of here. Because they don't want to have him start the same crap he did in Trump's first term, where all he ever did was try to, do a gotcha moment or to egg him on, or Mr. Trump, do you know that you and Hitler breathe air? That means you must be like Hitler. What do you say? No, they tired of that. They're tired of it. Hanging with Eric and Raph for 20 euros. My husband has 20 years with the DOD. Employees are fine if they're past the 2-year probationary period. This is only affecting new hires and is only lasting 3 to 4 months. It is being blown out of proportion. Well, thank you for that, but I thought it was supposed to last longer than that. Oh, I hope that's not true, that it's only for 3 or 4 months. But thank you for that, hanging with Eric and Raph. Love it. Ronan Weeb 187 for what the hell is ZAR? What currency is ZAR?
Is that a South African something?
Is that Rand? Oh, South African Rand. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ronan Weeb for 140 South African Rand. I feel bad for not having started working in a job early years in high school. I have finished my first year out of 4 for college. Well, congratulations for nature management. Well, you know how to handle fires. They need you in California. I need to get out of my comfort zone and carve my journey toward success. Hell yeah. You come back and let us know how you're doing. You know, my motto, always forward. Love it. And we got Jim Alaska, my good friend. I've missed you, Jim. He gifted 20 George the Giant Slam roses. Please, everybody, go thank Jim. He is a beautiful soul, brilliant human being. He has awesome takes. Thank you, Jim. And Jason Webster for $5 Australian. You should always embrace learning. Hell yeah. For example, I'm a graduate of 1 university, 1 private college, and 3 public colleges. Learning.
Wow.
Always. Every day is a new experience. You learn. Life is the greatest teacher. Thank you for that. But that's awesome. So many colleges. Bayona Rad for £2. Seinfeld show was ahead of time for dating. Yes. Love Seinfeld. Always watch it. Justin, Trip Guy 23 Martin for $5. Corey Wayne, life coach YouTuber, says the same. Drinks first. So he agrees with Verbal.
Yep. Or coffee date. A coffee date works.
It doesn't have to be booze. It could be coffee, but just,
I will agree with you for the drinks first. The coffee is like, what is that?
I'd say coffee because you could be getting an alcoholic on a date without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Don't you want to find that out? Don't you want to find that out up front, that if they're like an alcoholic?
That's true. I mean, you could discuss that over coffee and spare your time.
Yeah, you know what? And the bill. Are you kidding me? Drinks in LA, man? You're talking like 15, 20 bucks a drink.
I didn't know that.
You know what you need to find, if I might throw in my 2 cents, if you're a guy, suggest a place that you're going to meet that's cool, that's cute, fun, nice, something. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's not a Starbucks.
Okay, so
in LA we have like the Earth Cafe, which is a great place to meet people.
Yeah,
that's a good job.
But what you want to do is, if you're a dude, pick something that's creative, reasonably clever, easy to access, isn't expensive, and is a place that isn't necessarily someplace that feels safe.
I got it. Coffee at the strip club.
That is not the place I would suggest.
not for the first date. Not for the first.
If she says yes to that, though, that's a fucking keeper.
I mean, look, guys have to step up their game too. You can't put the onus on women. I mean, if you have to impress, and even if you're meeting somebody, you should always suggest meeting in a neutral place first, and make sure the place is cool. Make sure the place is clever. Make sure the place has something unique about it. So even if she doesn't like it, at least she'll give you credit for making the effort.
Yeah.
But okay, Ben and Jerry's.
No.
To a point, you're correct, Rob, but you're also talking about dating 10, 20 years ago. You got women now that'll freak out if you take them to the Cheesecake Factory. And if you don't make X amount of money, you have some shit. They've got standards.
Never go on a first date to a chain.
Yeah, I agree with Rob there. No chain.
Cool, someplace cool, local, someplace that's unique. You know, I mean, and someplace you can sit down and have fun.
We have a beautiful, brilliant woman here. Where would you say to go for all the men listening?
I mean, honestly, I think the answer depends on who you're looking for. Like my logic of, okay, going to a bar first versus a coffee shop versus like a club, it's like, well, that's the type of person that I think you're going to attract. Like if
Gotcha.
you were to go to a club, then then you know that this person is probably a party animal. If you go to a bar, it's like, okay, does this person require alcohol to loosen up? You know, like I think of like, what does it mean to go to certain places? So I think the coffee is the safest place. I would prefer that because I want to get to know someone on an intellectual level instead of like me guessing, okay, is the version I'm getting because they're drinking just because they're drinking, or is there something more to this person?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Both
By the
you and
way,
Rob, great answers.
I just want to point out that my favorite first date place in Los Angeles burned down in the Palisades fire.
Oh,
damn it! I'm sorry.
It
Hopefully
no
they'll
longer exists, and that
which
was
which place?
That sucks.
It was the Real Inn on PCHREEL. It was a fish joint right across from the ocean. You went in, it had an inside, you bought your fresh fish, whatever you wanted to get. And in the back where you sat, it was picnic tables. And
I
you
heard
got
my
this great.
Oh, the real that place burned down?
Dude, the
Damn
Real
it.
Inn. I
Oh,
watched it burn. That was my favorite. I had more great first dates over the last.
That's a
36
great
years.
place, man. Or
Dude,
was
it
a
was
great
the
place.
best place, and it was across from the ocean. And you know, you would go in, and it was so much fun. It was really casual, even though it could be expensive depending on what you were going to eat. But it was.
It wasn't
so
too bad though for what it was. I mean,
no,
it was,
and in terms of alcohol, they didn't have a full bar. You get a pitcher of beer, but you had great seafood, and the fact that everybody goes outside, and they had a gravel floor, and they had just regular picnic tables, and everybody would sit outside, and you sat across. You had great seafood, the freshest it could be, and you would just eat and talk, and it was the greatest place, and it burned down.
But I also heard my
sucks.
favorite place burned down. It was either Rob told me or it was Dante told me. Anna's on Pico, the Italian place.
No, that's still there's Anna's Italian Kitchen. I think it's still there.
Oh,
Pico
burned
didn't
down.
burn down.
No, but
unless
it
it burned down in a separate fire.
Yeah, probably somebody.
But yeah, dude, Verbal, the Real Inn's gone.
I can't
that
believe
sucks,
those places.
man. I went the last time I was there was before the lockdowns, but wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I loved that place because you could sit down with people, and everyone loves great fresh seafood, pitcher of beer, and you could
And
talk.
across the street from the beach.
I had a date there with a girl that lasted from noon to midnight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
I'm still
That is a great date. That's
great
fun.
date.
Soul 123 for $10. Nope, don't want to wrap up yet. This is my favorite show of the week. Thank you, Soul. We're going to be back. It's a great panel. Beautiful people. ILL Magic for $5. It might surprise us like Reeves Batman. I remember all those reshoot stories making us think the movie was going to fail until the movie came out. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I believe in hope, so you never know. I will say I think
Glad you like it.
I did like the Batman, except for the last 40 minutes. I like the first hour.
To me, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
A movie can be horrible for the first 90%, and the ending can save it.
Too long.
Or a movie can be amazing for 90% of the movie, and the last 10% can destroy it.
Yeah,
In this case, I was trying to leave for the last hour and a half of the movie.
Didn't like it. Yeah,
I hated it.
But I did love the Penguin. But I thought
Love
that
the Penguin,
was
yeah.
brilliant. Thank you, Il Magic. I appreciate it. Dragon Mask for $20. We're almost wrapped up here. 5 more to go. Trump is the embodiment of masculinity returning to the U.S. That's why the leftists were so afraid of him returning to office and did everything they can to stop him. Yeah, they even put a drooling puppet. Just look at what he's doing now. America's coming back. Yeah, I wonder if Cackles is crying into her whiskey sour. Thank you, Dragon Master. Dragon Master again for $5. I will maintain that Bucky Barnes should have been Captain. I do. I loved Bucky Barnes as Cap in the comics. He was in the comics because he was a super soldier, just like Steve, which Sam is. That's what I don't understand how the movie is going to explain unless he gets the serum. Because how does he stand toe to toe with the Hulk? Like,
well, apparently he's going to have. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Yeah, Wakanda. His suit is made in Wakanda.
Oh, so it's going to be able to take the hits. Oh, well, then that explains it, because that's what I was wondering. Is like, how does he take the hit from the? Because I remember in Ultron when the Hulkbuster couldn't take it for much longer.
Which, by the way, was only explained in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you didn't see that, then I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it in the movie. But
okay,
well, this is where I think the movie is going to fail. Is most people can already see that it's going to be a sequel to that TV show they didn't watch.
I never saw
have
it.
Captain America in it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Chris Creative for $5. I read the Dems are rezoning residential to add multifamily to break up Republican voting districts, part of the demographics change plan. Huh? I don't know anything about the California zoning area. Anybody here know? No?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nothing about that.
Thank you, Chris Craver. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you next week. Hey, King of the Monster, $5. The Birdcage was a great movie. Hell yeah, it was. Robin Williams, Nathan Lane playing gay guys running a gay club. No one cared. No one did. Great story.
One of my
A
favorite
Club
scenes.
Man of War 665 would feel at home in. You too.
I never heard my dad laugh
Go get
so
a
hard at
hotel.
a movie before. We were watching The Birdcage, and it was the scene where Robin Williams is trying to teach Nathan Lane how to walk like a man, and he's like, just walk like John Wayne. And he starts walking, and he's like, Jesus Christ. He's like, what? Is it bad? He's like, no, I just never realized John Wayne walked like that before.
It was a great movie. It was a great movie. Again, nobody cares. That's why we realized that Tyrone was right. That guy was a troll, nothing more. Thank you, Eric K. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast for $6.65. There is a bronze plaque over Eric K's favorite stool at the Blue Oyster. Also, it's been permanently mounted upside down. Jesus Christ. Get a hotel room. Thank you. That's beautiful. Sledge for $20. Great show today. What the fuck? This stupid fucking camera. Okay.
Take a drink.
Yes, I am. Great show today. Phenomenal panel. My sweet wife of 30 years started making little baking vids. Well, congratulations to her. If there's any bakers out there, Whoop Bakes. Thank you, George. Sledge. Throw your wife's channel name in the chat. Check it out so we can share with everybody. And that was it. Nope, I think that was it. Yes, that was it. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Tyrone, it's been awesome. I don't have to say, hey, share what you're going to do next. Everybody knows where you're at. Everybody.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you for saying it. Oh, yeah. Hope you come back one day. We had a lot of fun. It'd be all great. Gothix.
Thank you guys for having me. Fun as always.
Always.
Yeah, you know where to find me online. Check me out.
And
the documentary is great. Everybody should watch it.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
And Robert Meyer Burnett. What do you have coming up?
Well, I've got my taking that page from Eric July's book, making my own thing, doing our audio drama, our fully immersive 10-chapter audio drama, True Noir. You can get it at truenoir.co right now. The 6th episode's going to drop next week. And so that's been a lot of fun. And obviously my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work. Come and find me.
I'm waiting for Free Enterprise 2.
Dude, we tried. I just want to get Free Enterprise back and put it out into the zeitgeist. Do a new 4K version of it, because the world needs William Shatner now more than ever.
It does, definitely. Definitely it does. All right, DA, what do you have coming up? Where can they find you?
The DA's office every Sunday night. Nightcaps Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. Come hang out. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for bringing me on again, George. Always a pleasure.
Always love having you. Verbal Riot. Dante, my friend.
Yeah, you guys could find me tomorrow on, as usual, on Versus Film Thread. You can find me Wednesdays with George doing our show on Wednesday afternoon. Saturday nights, you can catch me with Yellow Flash. And somewhere in between there, I'll be dropping some videos.
Cool. And then Tom from Midnight's Edge, Midnight's Edge After Dark, Midnight's Edge Espanol, Midnight's Edge Greek coming on the way. What do you have coming up?
Well, tonight we have the tier list. I brought that back, so we're gonna do Sylvester Stallone's movies tonight. Otherwise, you can find me all the places you just said. We do have a video that just come out the other day besides our Star Trek video that is not getting any traction and people should check out. So please do. It's the one about Trump and Bob Iger kissing the ring. So do check that out on our channel. We appreciate that. And other than that, just thanks for having me as always. And I'm humbled by all these folks here that I'm on the panel with today. So yeah.
Everybody's amazing. Thank you for coming, Tom. All right, everybody. Bless you all. Thank you for coming. Everybody in the chat, all the amazing supporters. We're going to be back. Probably going to do a show tomorrow night. Talk about a little politics. But I thank you. Your support keeps the lights on. It's amazing. It's encouraging. It's inspiration. It's rocket fuel for the journey. So remember what I always say. If you want to make the rules, not serve them, stand tall every time you look in the mirror. We have one unbreakable rule. We're fighters. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. Always forward. Have a blessed week, everyone. Later.